Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bladensburg Town Council Work Session for Monday, February 9th, 2026. Thank you so much for joining us. At this time, we're now calling the meeting to order. We'll proceed on the agenda with the next item, which is the approval of tonight's meeting agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any comments or amendments to the agenda? I would like to ask the council, I noticed in the MML newsletter that they were asking municipalities to voice your support for a couple of pieces of legislation. So I made the abbreviated copies of those and would ask that the council would add that to the agenda so we can discuss letters of support. And Councilmember Dixon, you had another item?
Yeah, I think I saw something today. I think it's on the January. No, go ahead. Isn't it?
Mm-hmm. No? That's the minutes. All right, so with that, I'll call for the vote on the approval of the minutes. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. And Town Administrator Bailey Hedgepeth, I think you mentioned Councilmember McBride will be joining us online tonight.
That's my understanding. I'm in Zoom looking for her now.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Councilmember Dixon. Any corrections or comments regarding the minutes? I just wanted to note on item number 2, it says Mayor James called for a motion.
That's the one.
And I was absent.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one that was so
work.
good.
So I think it was Councilmember Dixon, Mayor Pro Tem called for the motion.
Thank you. We'll make that change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Council, are there any other
No, that's it.
corrections? Okay. And, oh, sorry, and then on the next page, under information memo for data centers, it says Town Administrator shared that the country is reviewing the location,
the
and it should
county.
be county.
County.
And,
Well, and the whole country, Mayor.
yeah, the whole country,
The whole
yes.
country.
All right, so with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. The minutes are approved. The next item on tonight's agenda is financial business. That's under tab A for FY 2026 budget update and the FY 2027 budget update. So with that, we'll turn it over to Mr. Tonelli.
1 second. You want to take it or?
No, you can. Oh, you want me to do a
Sorry, Town
preamble? You want me to do
Yeah,
a
can you
preamble for you?
Yeah, buy him some time.
So, thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we have 2 items for you. One is the update on our audit. The second one is our actual budget information. As you know, the FY 27 budget process has begun. We are working on the preliminary estimates, and as part of tonight's budget presentation, we're going to start to give you where we are in 2026 so that we can prepare for 2027. And so part of that is by letting you guys know where we see the revenues at, if the things that we suggested last year were successful, which they have been in some ways, that we've sort of mitigated some of some of the increases that we've seen in the past few years. We'll be making a recommendation to you next month in regards to COLAs and merits for employees, and also in regards to the capital spending. As you can see right now, we have started to loosen up capital spending because they're coming from other sources. So those are good changes that we didn't anticipate that were going to happen in 26 that we're now able to do. So as things have been, as the revenues have been coming in, and especially regarding speed camera and red light, we feel more comfortable in making some recommendations to you in regards to these things. So, Mr. Tonelli, is that enough of a wind-up for you for your presentation?
Yes, it is, and I
Perfect.
appreciate it. And Rick, I'm sharing my screen just in case, but just some of the things I want to talk about. I mean, it's February, so of course it's early, but it's also the time to start the budget process. The main variable is the the real property assessments, which determines the real estate tax. That comes out on the 14th, which is that Friday or Saturday? Saturday. Okay, it's Valentine's Day weekend. How's that? So I'm not going to pin down the exact day, but it's dated the 14th every year, and it will let us know how much the assessments have increased from the state. They've been typically increasing between 4% and 6% a year. I have a feeling that's going to be on the higher end just because of the real estate market and the shortage of inventory to be purchased. So that's the driver because that is the largest revenue item on our budget, and it's based upon our current real property taxes, which have remained unchanged, and we increased the commercial and the apartment tax rates this fiscal year, which has helped. So those assessments I anticipate are going to increase. Some of the things that I talked about on my financial report that unfortunately I had to release today. The business personal property tax assessments, the tax assessments have increased 25%. That's a big deal. But not sure if that is based upon difference in when returns are filed, meaning that businesses, I want to say, are a little less slack than individuals following their tax filing deadlines, but businesses tend to extend or go a year or two sometimes without filing. But also, I think that the economy is better. So that's why I think it is driving those up as well. And also, wages are up, which is going to possibly increase income tax. But with the with the new tax plan coming out, we might see a decrease on those. We might not see the impact because you can claim more of deductions now. So I'm trying to remember what that is. It's the
no tax on tips, is that what you're talking about?
It's a SALT limit, the state and local income tax limit that was cut down to $10,000. They raised it up to $40,000 of deductions. So even though wages are going up, there's more deductions out there, which will reduce the Maryland income tax withheld and remitted to us. So, but those revenues are looking well. One of the things that we're unsure about right yet is what to do with the compensation. We talked about adding the 2 new COPS positions for next year, the COPS funded positions. Those are funded a little more than a third from the feds for each position, except for retirement. And speaking of retirement, you know, it's the variable there if the town is going to go into LEOPS or not. And so I'm working both of these angles and everything. We discussed with Purnell with the Public Works budget and Acting Chief Fishcorn, the Public Safety budget, any changes, concerns, what we need, you know, we went through line by line, and I told them, this is our first time going through it, you know, this is our first chomp at the apple, so, and then we can come back in, and the plan is we're going to have a good numbers by the March meeting. We may want to have a work session just with the mayor and council, talk about your budgets, because we talked about public safety and public works, and your budget is the smaller one, but you should also have a say in your own budget as well. And the biggest driver in that budget is the community events, the scholarships and sponsorships, donations to the fire department, which we just increased this year, and also any contractual or legal expenses anticipated. And those are, what's that?
Legals in mine, isn't it? Legals in mine. Yeah.
It is in yours, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the town administrator budget. But maybe just have like an hour work session at the mayor and council to discuss your budget. And from there, we can iron it out. The grants I do last just because the grants are in and out, but they do change the budget. I mean, you know, they could change a $12 million budget to a $12.5 million budget. but it doesn't, like, per se, add to the operating expenses. It's always for capital expenditures or for street repairs and things like that. So we just put the income in for grants and the income going out for grant expenses. But those we wait until probably towards the end of the year when things, that would probably be in April or May. And that's where we are right now with the budget.
Thank you for that overview, Mr. Tonelli. Are there any questions from the council regarding the budget update? I did want to ask, while the council's thinking of a question. So typically, when it comes to the large capital purchases, you hold those until about April? We're a couple months early with some of them. Are you?
We've been dragging our feet, but at a certain point, we had to go ahead and, and make those, just because, like for the vehicles, we held off, but we had to go ahead and do that just because of the fleet needs.
Right.
And also for finding out that we have other vehicles in repair, so we're always down, it seems like. So it was more important to get those in. But we did hold off until after December, so it's, yeah.
Right.
So we feel really blessed that you're allowing us to get these purchases before April.
Yeah, and as I said in my financial report, we are doing well, or compared to budget. So it's not like we were, this time last year, it wasn't so well. So that's why I try to get, a little bit, I hate to say it, but gun shy, but, just making sure we have enough in there to push us over at the end of the year. I say we're doing well. I mean, we still have February, March, April, May, and June to get through. So you got 5 months, still to fund. So to say we're doing well is well for our time period, this slot in time right now. So.
And I think you warned us about that before, because we don't know if revenue's coming in earlier and then if we've hit the max, or
That's what I'm worried about too.
if it will continue to come in. So I understand the point. We're okay for this moment in time, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We've still got 5 months of
That's what I mean.
uncertainty.
The business personal property taxes, they're doing great right now, but then the risk is we might not get any more, for the end of the year. I doubt that it will happen, but it could, as you said, just like hit that cliff. I just don't know. So, and that's why it's, again, it's, we're going through the January numbers. I always feel better the more months we get behind us, as we're talking and everything. So, gosh, what else was I going to say along those lines? Yeah, I mean, it's like, with the weather event, of course that happens on a weekend. So that, that clicks in a certain level of overtime. And that was just one event. So, I mean, we are in mid-February now. So, we're putting more days behind us with the chances of bad weather, but, it's always out there as a concern.
Councilmember Dixon. And then just the last thing that I think we need to keep on our radar is the cost of the Time to Care Act, because that is going to come into play and is something that we're going to have to budget for as well to cover a certain amount of leave. So just flagging it for when we start our budget conversations.
Out there. And they as I said before, they keep pushing that one down because I think, people are starting to find out the real, I mean, and all the potentials. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's going to,
And that's part of also, we're going to have to we're not going to completely self-insure for that. We'll probably have to get we'll probably have to work with Bolton on that issue, because that's one of the things that all the municipalities are looking at, is that you might have an additional premium, like a legit premium for it, that you'll do. But I mean, I think that the one nice thing about the Time to Care is that we are pretty generous with our leave. And people do have large amounts of leave in the town, and so we're not going to be you already have a large liability, I guess, given your leave. I would say that, right, Vito? That would be the upside.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and that's something I'm looking at the budget for next year too, is to put leave payouts in. But unfortunately, that's always been balanced by vacancies, but I'm just worried about, we have over $500,000 of accrued leave on the books. So at some point, it's disclosed in the audit, but and it's expensed as they happen. But, if there's like 4 or 5 people that, leave with like 3 months of vacation each, you're talking about, full-time and a half salary. So it's, yeah, so that's one of the things I'm playing around with too right now, just to see how much to put in there. And
All right, that's helpful. Well, thank you. Council, are there any questions?
We don't have, you snooze, you lose. Do they just keep on? That's okay. Yeah, for leave balance, do you have, if you didn't use it, you lose it?
You have a max amount that you can accrue, and that there's, with your personal leave, you must use the 2 days of personal leave within a year, but for the large majority of people, there are a lot of people at the max, which depending on how long you're here, can be up to 360 hours.
Wow.
For vacation time. So that's why, Vito, I was really talking about the large liabilities that we have for some senior employees that have been here a long time. So they have a lot of leave that's in the books. With sick time, it's up to 12,000, half of your sick time when you leave. So for those senior employees that have passed the maximum number of hours, they're at $12,000 payout. So that's why.
So that's, we couldn't change that?
That's one of the things that I guess the council could look at. But you've had those maxes for a long time as part of your benefits package, and it graduates from your very newest employees that start at about 200 hours per year to the most senior employees that have over 10 years of experience, or 10, was it 50, is it 15 or is it 10? It's 10, right? Vito, are you at max, or who's at max? For your vacation. The max is at 10, or is it 12? 12. It's at 12, so Vito's not quite there yet, 12 years. But I'd say we have about 7 or 8 employees that are able to accrue at the maximum amount.
And we couldn't change, I know.
You'd have to do a change
Yeah,
of part
so-
of the personnel policy. So one of the things that we can look at is that when you're making some changes to the personnel policy, if that is the desire of council, that can be added in there as something that you could look at. But, it's, local government in general has generous vacation and sick time benefits, and that's sort of the reason why people like coming to government, because they have those benefits to use them. But
Those many hours.
yeah. So that's what you have.
Councilmember, to your point,
To your
as we're
point.
talking through the budget
Yeah.
planning, it is something we could look at to say,
Yeah.
what's the true cost and what can we realistically afford if the council wants to make that adjustment? But it is tough when you're trying to be competitive against other municipalities and give people a reason to stick with you to cut down. So, but I think you're right. We should at least talk about it and look at the cost. And then if the council wants to do it, the part 2 of that, in addition to budgeting appropriately, is changing our personnel policy to go along with it.
Yeah, because if not, you're going to still have the same behavior. So either we do something about it or we don't. That's all. Okay.
And I can tell you from like my perspective, it's just difficult to take off sometimes. So it's, you plan for it, and unfortunately you just don't, and that's how the hours accrue, and it's like pushes us up against the max. I'm like, eesh, so I'm always watching that and trying to, us and myself and a few other employees at the same time, it's like, you just can't like say, oh, I'm just going to take off 2 weeks, knock these hours down. We're a small organization, and it's difficult. Now, for other organizations to bring their liability down, they have it set up where they can, the government pays them their leave. It's not like a true 1-for-1, but at least you're getting, buying some hours down, and they get it at the end of the year if they want to. But that's just options I looked into out there, trying to bring that liability down. So, and oof.
Yeah.
People do those unlimited PTO policies where you don't accrue. And you can either have that person who says, I'm going to take a lot of PTO, or you have people that are workaholics like me and Vito who never take any PTO because we never can get time to take it, and then we don't ever have any accruals. So you save money on, you have save money on the workaholics, you don't save money on the other people. So there you go.
So more discussion to come. I know we're well over 5 minutes, but I think it's a good discussion to have as we start talking through numbers for the next budget cycle. And then on the FY 2025 audit, Mr. Tonelli, did you want to say more about that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the draft. Unfortunately, I lost a lot of time between the holidays and being out sick. We also had some people here out sick, so it just compounds it. And then we had the year-end tax deadlines. They come with fines if you don't get, if you don't get those in. So we try to get those reports in, filings in first. But it's just down to now the ARPA testing, and the auditor is saying that we have an extra $17,000 to spend, which I'm not in total agreement with. It's over a payroll accrual that that we put in and I backed out, and I'm not in total agreement with it yet. So that's why we haven't, what's that? Yeah, I just found out Friday afternoon. I looked at it, I'm like, I got to look into that one more. So we could have $17,000 more, about to go back and file an amended report. I'm not convinced we do, so that's where we are right now. But it's all done except for that. So unfortunately, didn't have a draft for you today. If I probably just said yes on Friday, if I could have a draft, but I'm going to go with. So we will have one
Accuracy
on
is
Monday.
better, so we will look for that audit on the
yes.
next council work session
And
agenda.
I apologize for that. It just January was tough.
No, I
December, January was
totally
tough, so
understand. Yep.
And that's why I talked about last meeting, the dark months, is always, these are always the worst months for some reason, weather or sickness or anything else, it seems like. So it just sets us, again, we're a small organization, so it's, but we'll have it for March meeting. And we got an extension with the state, and they understood. So.
Thank you for those updates. Again, Mr. Tonelli, appreciate all your work on the financial front. Council, any questions about the audit? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is the agenda item that you all graciously agreed to amend for. The handouts that I'm giving you are just the summary pages of the two bills that I wanted to ask if the council was interested in submitting letters of support for. The one item is the bottle bill, and that's SB 342. It's kind of crazy to me that we don't already have this, but growing up in Michigan, the way it worked was there was a bottle deposit. So if your soda cost $1, there's 10 cents tacked on, and the incentive is you return all those cans and you get that deposit back. And as a broke high school student, that's how I put gas in my car, collecting bottles. But the benefit is they're not littering, they're not ending up in the Anacostia and other waterways. And for a state like Maryland that has so many waterways, I just don't understand why that hasn't been done years ago. So this testimony was actually due Friday, but still wanted to ask the council if we could just submit a letter of support. So at least it's in the record that Bladensburg does support this, mainly because our home senator, Senator Augustine, is a part of the bill sponsors, and I think it would be good for us to support legislation that Senator Augustine is putting forward. And then the other matter is coming up on Thursday for a hearing. This is HB 239, and the concern here is local preemption. So there's a land use and zoning bill that they will be hearing in the Economic Matters Committee, and this has to do with really infringing on local jurisdictions' authority. As we know from our legislative priorities, we have very little authority as it is to say what we want in our municipal borders. And so this is just another attempt to further restrict what we can do. If the state says that a site is zoned for single-family homes, we don't have the authority to say Bladensburg is a small town. We can't afford to put, 5 single-family homes here, but we can do condos or we can do townhomes. And so just taking that authority or input away from the municipality does not seem wise. And so MML in their last newsletter did ask the municipalities to, if you could testify or at least send a letter of support in for that particular hearing so they can show that municipalities are being vocal about this issue. So those are the two items, and at this time, I'll yield for any comments or questions from the council. Councilmember Brown?
No, I mean, the Bill 342, the SB 342, I mean, it just makes sense. I think they've tried to do this before. I don't know what happened and why it didn't pass, but, yeah, and I think it makes sense, and makes sense.
Great, thank you. Any other comments from the council? Again, didn't want to spend too much time on it, but just wanted to make sure we talked about it, and we can make sure that our legislators know that we're paying attention and supporting where it makes sense to do so. I appreciate that. The next item under new business is the LEOPS update, and so at this time, Town Administrator Bailey Hedgepeth will turn it over to you.
I'm only doing the wind-up on this one, so I'm not gonna, you won't hear me for long. Mayor and Council, over the last few months, we've been looking at the LEOPS, it's the law enforcement officers' specific retirement. Acting Chief Fishcorn and Mr. Tonelli are going to do the bulk of this presentation, but what we're looking at is that from the standpoint of a timeline, state retirement needs a response from us by March 1st if we are going to look at moving forward on this. If not, then you guys will let us know tonight, but if it's then in May, there's another deadline, which is a resolution that has to go to the state, and there's some other steps that we'll do. So I just wanted to kind of give you that, and I'm going to let Acting Chief Fishcorn to go first. Am I correct in that, Chief Fishcorn? Yes. Okay.
Can you all see on your screen?
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just want to give a brief overview of why the Police Department wants to move to LEOPS from our current state retirement. So LEOPS is the Law Enforcement Officers Pension System, and our current retirement has a roll of 90, which means that your age plus your years of service has to equal 90 before you can retire. So an example would be if a new officer, the minimum age to be a police officer in Maryland is 21. So if someone starts right out of the academy, right when they turn 21, they'd have to work 35 years, and they would be 56, and it would equal 91, because it has to equal 90, the roll of 90. Another example would be if an officer starts at age 30, they'd have to work 30 years, they'd be 60, and then you add the 30 to it, that makes 90. Under LEOPS, an officer would only have to work 25 years of service for full retirement, or be vested with partial retirement at age 50. So the same officer who starts at 21, instead of retiring at age 56, they could retire at age 46. If they're 30 years old, they can retire at age 55. Looking at our current officers that we have, the average, if they stay under the current system, the average retirement age would be in their 60s for the average of 22 officers or 23 officers that we have now. So going to LEOPS, I feel would benefit the town by 10 years less of increased salaries. So you're going to have people that have been here, they're not going to have to stay 35 years. They'd only have to stay 25 years, so there's 10 years of the upper salaries that you won't be paying in COLAs. There's an earlier transition of the high cost of the senior pay and overtime. So someone who's a sergeant who's been here 25 years under LEOPS could retire. Under the current system, they'd have to stay another 10 years until they're 56. So you're paying 10 more years of high-cost senior pay and overtime. Also, when you're looking at workers' comp and injuries, of course, as we age, we're more prone to injuries, and the environment that police officers have to work in out on the street, doing a variety of physical activities, it's going to decrease the risk of workers' comp claims by the officers being here 10 years less than what they would be on the current system. You can switch to the next. Here's just an example of the roll of 90 and how it works. So if they're 21, they can retire at age 56. If they're 22, 56, and it goes all the way down to age 29. I didn't go all the way up, but if you're 29 and start here, you'd have to wait till you're 60. And like I said, our current staff, the average retirement age for our current staff is in the mid-60s before they could retire. I don't know about you, but I think this is a a young person's game, and having 60-year-old police officers out on the street, they'll be more prone to injury. And we switch to the next one. Under LEOPS, under the state retirement, they currently, it's 1.5% per year that they give you for credit for service, unless it's before 2011. We only have a couple employees that have been here before 2011. It's 1.8% if they were here before 2011. Under LEOPS, it's 2%, so they're going to get a higher benefit multiplier when they retire. And there's a service cap under LEOPS of 32.5 years. There's no service cap under the current state retirement. So an example that I gave, if you have 35 years of service at 1.5%, you would get 52% for an additional 10 years of service, whereas under LEOPS, you would have to do 10 years less and you get 50%. So staying an extra 10 years under the state retirement, you're only going to get 2.5% more. An officer who starts at age 40 and works 25 years would be 65 years old, and they would only receive 37.5% as opposed to 50%. So it's a larger monthly retirement benefit under LEOPS, and it rewards long-term service rather than discouraging it, because under the state retirement, if you're going to stay all those extra years and you're only going to get 37.5%, that's minuscule. And it also reduces the injuries due to the 10-year reduction in service that I spoke about. So retention and recruitment is a big thing in police departments, and as you know, it's very hard to find good qualified applicants, and you have to be competitive. One of the things that officers look at first when they're looking at a police department to go to is the type of retirement that they have. If they're going to have to stay somewhere 35 years to get 37%, or 25 years to get 50%, you can see why the decision would be easy. The retirement plans play a major role in their employment decisions. If current officers leave the town for a better retirement plan, then the town incurs additional costs to hire new officers, including recruitment expenses, training and academy costs, and the cost of equipment and uniforms. That all adds up. The salaries for the FTO training the officers' salary while they're in training, the different academies they have to go to cost money, and then all the uniforms. There were a couple recent officers that left the town of Bladensburg, and it was partially due to the retirement plan. Had LEOPS been here, they may still be here. Recruitment also, having LEOPS improves competitiveness with the other county and municipal agencies. LEOPS highly valued by the officers. There are currently 8 counties and 25 municipalities in Maryland that participate in LEOPS. Recruitment's very competitive, and having LEOPS places Bladensburg in a more desirable position to limited applicants. Switch to the next one. Why LEOPS? Again, it's 50% versus 37.5% benefit for the officers. Lower years of service, 25 years versus 35 years, and that's the minimum. Earlier retirement age, 46 versus 56. Police officers, it's a unique profession. There are physical demands, higher stress, risks associated with policing that aren't associated with other jobs. That's why there's different options like LEOPS for law enforcement. Law enforcement experiences a higher level of health issues due to work, rotating shifts, and other factors. The average life expectancy for law enforcement officers after retirement is 5 years, because you're dealing with all that negative stress, and then you go to retirement and you don't have that. Officers experience wellness and mental health issues due to exposure to violence and traumatic events. So having someone that's in their mid-60s retiring as opposed to someone who's 46, it's a big difference on your quality of life. Moving to LEOPS benefits the town and allows for the retention of current officers and the ability to be competitive in recruitment. It's a cost saving on increased salaries and benefits for 10 years less of service. It's a cost savings on injuries and workers' comp claims due to 10 years less service and a younger police force, and allows officers more opportunity for upward mobility. In a small agency such as ours, it's hard to move up in the agency if people are staying here 35 years as opposed to 25 years. And we want all of our employees to have upward mobility and have a chance to move up and get a younger crowd in.
Okay. I'll take over from here. These are the contribution rates by system. The current pension system that we are in is the Employees Retirement and Pension System with the state of Maryland. And that is, it's hard to read the numbers on here without hopping out of here, but that's the lower blue bars there. And that's been increasing on average 5% per year. Actually, we got hit by a pretty good increase between last 3 years from the pension system. The LEOPS system is the orange bars on the higher end. Those have been averaging 3% increase per year. In a couple of years, it actually did go down. But right now, the current system that we are paying into is 13.5%. The LEOP system is 39.5%. So there's a difference there. There's the 26 point difference. LEOPS is a more expensive system because you're retiring out early. You know, as Acting Chief Frischkorn said, you know, it's a young man's job. So that's why the retirement rate is higher, because they're going out at 25 years. And so what does that mean to the town? Our current pension system with our current staffing is $563,000 per year. It averages just over $10,000 per employee, and that's on average. So an employee's salary times that 13.5%, that's what the town's paying into the pension system. And the state retirement pension system, most towns and counties, I want to say most, not all, are in the state retirement and pension system. Now, when we go to a LEOP system, certain counties and certain towns, especially ones around here, are in that system. To move to that system would be a $437,000 increase. The pension would go from 563 to just shy of $1 million. I put in $1 million. It's like 998,000, but it's a $437,000 increase for those officers to move into the law enforcement officers pension system. And then something that we are asking our town attorney about is if the officers would agree to, if we could opt them out of Social Security. That means so we don't deduct the 6.2% Social Security tax and the town doesn't have to pay it. That would be a savings for the town for that matching portion. And that matching portion was would be a potential $147,000 decrease off the additional going into LEOPS. So if we were allowed to do that, I don't have any experience in it. That's why we're waiting on info from the town attorney. It would be a the increase would go from $437,000 down to $290,000.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
So also, the police department polled all of the officers to find out if they were willing to give up something to get into LEOPS, and everyone agreed that they would give up their Social Security so that the town could use that money to offset the cost of LEOPS.
And this is based on our current staffing and current compensation levels. Again, you know, this is, we're going to go through the budget process, you know, if there's COLAs or merits or additional positions. I did put what changed between me doing this Friday and today. I did add the 2 COPS funded positions in here just to see what it would do, because that's something that we're under a hard line with the federal grant. But it's any compensation increases or additional staffing will affect this. So, you know, if we add another body, and on the admin side, it's $10,500. If you add another body on the PD side, it'd be an additional $29,000. I'm sorry, $26,000. So the needle moves with that. So, and I think they said they would give us a final amount on September 1st after they see who's enrolled as of July 1. So going back to the timeline, we have to let them know by May No, we have to give them a soft answer by March and a hard contractual answer by May, and we'll actually know the bottom line amount September 1 when they do their next actuarial based on the July 1 enrollment. Is that everything? Yes. Yeah, did I say that? Yeah, okay, good, yeah, okay, yeah. So, and again, that's something that the town attorney is looking at.
All right, thank you, Acting Chief Frischkorn and Treasurer Tonelli, for that update on LEOPS. I know this is of interest to a lot of the officers for all the reasons that were stated. The town council did agree that we wanted to have the opportunity to go through the actuarial study so we'd have hard numbers that we can consider as we're looking at future budgets. And so at this time, council, I'll open it up for any comments or questions.
Madam Mayor, thank you.
Councilmember.
Acting Chief Fishcorn, I heard the great thing about layoffs, but what are the risks? Is there any risk in terms of budget-wise? What if you fall into budget issues?
Well, it's going to be a cost after they get into it. Once officers decide to get into it, they can't change their mind and go back. So it's going to be a continuing cost to the council, to the town. And so if we do have any issues with, in the future with any of our speed camera funds or any of the camera violation funds, that could affect this. So it might be something that the town would have to get the money from somewhere else. But also taking into consideration, we're also looking at other camera, camera, like the stop sign cameras and additional red light cameras. Not that we're going to count on that for the additional funding, but that's something to consider. But if we lose any of that in the future, then the town would have to have a manner in which to pay for this.
This is risky. You mentioned that police officers are willing to give up their Social Security to enter into layoffs. And this is why I asked, what are the risks? And what would be the projected total cost for like over 5 years expansion or 10 years for our employees, police officers? Because we want to make sure that while this is a good thing, we want to make sure that they're secured as well.
Well, in the paperwork that you have, it has the different costs for LEOPS. I mean, once you're in there, it's a secure program. As I said, there's numerous agencies that are in it. There's 6. When we had the discussion with the state retirement, they advised us that there were 6 additional agencies that were trying to get into it. So it's not something that we're going to get into that's not going to be funded and not going to be secure for the officer's future. The stuff that the town has to look at is if the sustainability of it in the future, should some of these other programs like the camera enforcement programs have issues or go down in money. But as far as the retirement part of it, LEOPS has been around for a while, I believe since 1990, and a lot of agencies are in it.
Thank you, Acting Chief. All right. I think where I am with it, because I know we're running short on time, is yes, it's a good program to have, but is it good for the town right now? And in my opinion, it is not. When I was looking at the packet and looking at other cities and their police budgets who have, and these are specifically cities who have LEOPS, City of Bowie has an $18 million police budget. That's a different conversation. That's more than our town budget. And when we're susceptible to fluctuations in red light camera funding and other speed mitigation forces, we don't even have a reliable stream of income built up yet. The previous budget cycle year, we fell $1 million short. And had we had LEOPS, that would have been a very challenging position for the town to be in. And so I just don't feel that we're at this same level. Even when I looked at Greenbelt, their police department budget is $13 million. Hyattsville is about $12 million. Annapolis is $31 million. And so they're just at a different level of financial stability that our town isn't. Our annual budget's $12 to $13 million, and we have to cover everything with that. And so unless the council would be open to saying, we may have to raise taxes in the next 5 years if economic indicators are following the trends and property tax revenue is not coming in the way that we want. We don't know what's going to happen with the federal government. We saw how hugely residents were impacted with the federal government shutdown. I mean, our economic sort of framework is a little ginger because we are so close to DC, and we have to look at all of those factors in order to be able to allocate that. The total expenditure is on an annual basis, even with the credit, if you're just looking solely at the cost of the plan. For 22 employees, we'd be paying over $250,000. That is a very expensive plan, and I just don't know that I don't feel comfortable committing to that. So if anyone else wants to weigh in at this time, please feel free. Councilmember Blunt.
I mean, those are things that I was hearing prior to the officer back there when he made a beautiful presentation on NEOPS, because I support it 100%. I mean, of course, because I relied on the speed camera funding, and I thought that we have reached that threshold of the money with the cameras and all of that, because we were told that we did. But I understand. I'm listening to what you said and have listened to what you all say, but I do support it 100% if we can find funding for this in any way, and they're willing to give up their Social Security. That's a big move. And again, I will support it. And I do listen to the numbers, but if we can find money to help them support this, and they're willing to do their part, but I do support layouts for the officers.
Thank you, council member, and I do as well. It's just a matter of the time, and that's my only concern. And we don't have 100% confirmation that the Social Security path is an option. And so without even that information, to say we have to make a decision tonight, I don't think that's fair to the council. I think we can only go with the information we have at the moment. So Councilmember Blunt or Councilmember McBride, Councilmember Brown and Councilmember McBride, I forgot she was on here too. Any comments from either of you? I think she's unmuting. 1 second. Did you unmute Councilmember McBride? No? Okay, sorry.
Thanks, Mayor. I think that we support LEOPS, but it's whether or not can the town really afford LEOPS right now at this time, and that is the big question. I mean, the numbers are the numbers. I mean, and some of the facts that the mayor did bring out with some of the other municipalities with the larger budgets with their police departments, and with the fluctuation of with the speed cameras, and because the thing about with the cameras is that people's habits, once they start getting tickets and stuff, their habits do change, right? And so that's where we saw the decrease within the and that was a good thing. You want people's habits to change. Don't want them come speeding through town, but it's a really tough place to be in, because it's like, can the town afford it? And that's the question. And when you look at the numbers, $250,000, I mean, almost $500,000 for 22. And you look at only eight counties and 5 municipalities, have LEOPS, and especially with the municipalities, that's with 157 municipalities in Prince George, in the state of Maryland, only 5 municipalities, have it. So that says, volumes too. But
I believe the 5 are only in Prince George's council.
Oh, they're
So
only
I
Prince
don't want to misrepresent that. It's 5
okay.
within Prince George's that we were talking about.
Okay.
And then I believe that
It's a total of 25.
25,
but I was just saying-
25 municipalities, but 5 of them happen to be comparables in Prince George's County. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Okay. Right, out of the 155 statewide that I was saying. Yeah.
25 out of the 100, I just wanted to say filed, like, wait. it's
Okay, right, yeah. So, but, I mean, That's my only reservation is, you know, can the town really afford it right now?
Mayor, I don't want
Yeah.
to muddy the waters any, so let me try to
But
stay
I
out
think
of it.
we're
But
we're
I just
good.
want to say, yeah, but just about the social security thing, just to say that there are no other municipalities where people do not opt out of social security. And so it would be something that we would have to enter a separate agreement with the IRS, and that's what the attorney is actually looking at. I don't want to make it sound like it's bada boom, bada bing, just take out your social security. There is a process, and we have to follow that process because currently, we do enfranchise our current employees that are in EPS with social security. So we would be treating them differently, even though police officers saying, yes, we want to do it. It's still an issue that's what she needs to look at for fairness issues and from the standpoint of can we do it if no one else does this? So that's the issue and whether or not they have the same coverages. So I just want to make sure that that's what the question was as well. So I just want to put that in there.
Yes,
Well,
go
I
ahead,
know we're running out
Councilmember
of time.
Blunt.
I know we're running out of time. Okay, so if we don't make a decision by March the 1st, we lose, or they give us an extension? How does that work?
We have to, it's a good point. So we have to let them know by March 1st if we're still interested in proceeding.
So are
And
we
then
going to proceed or not?
The majority is not in favor of proceeding at this time. I think you're right. We got to do more research to determine, is there another way that it could be funded? But right now, we don't have a sustainable, a guaranteed sustainable funding source. And that's where we need to figure out where can that money come from.
And we don't have enough time to even figure that out.
No.
At this time.
Yeah. So I think it's just not now. We just need to keep working on it to try to get ourselves there.
So do we have another year? How long do they work?
We can
on that?
come back to the table with it next year and try it again. It's up to us whenever we say that we're ready and want to go down this path again and have them do the study. So it's not like we looked into it now and we can't come back and look into it again next year. If the council says this is what we want to do, then we'll go back through another actuarial study in 2027.
Okay.
But like you said, the issue is the funding source, and that's where we have to really figure out where we can find a more sustainable pocket of revenue that's not going to be subject to people speeding and now they're not speeding. You know, lots of revenue this month and then it drops off.
But just real quick, because with the money we raised and the cameras since we talked about this years ago, I say years ago, but a couple of years ago, we didn't think about maybe.
That money's been spent. That's the problem. It would be different if we didn't need new vehicles and if we weren't buying all these other things. The money,
opposed to
some
the
money
police
did
department.
come in, but also, as you remember, the reason we had the budget concerns last year when we were going through the planning is because the revenue was projected to be $1 million higher, and we didn't meet that. So that created a shortfall, which is why in the meetings for the budget, Michelle kept saying we have a structural deficit. We need to figure out and keep tightening the budget to come in lower overall because we didn't raise the money that we anticipated and what we put in the budget the year prior.
And the money that we did spend out on cars and whatever else we spend it on, we maybe should have thought about LEOPS then. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so with that, I want to keep moving through the agenda because we're at 6:26 and some of our guests are here to do a presentation. If the council is okay, can we jump to the Boswick House update? Because we have two guests with us from Amen Trust and I don't want to hold them. I was hoping we would have had you up a little earlier, so thank you for your patience. But Town Administrator, I'll give it to you for the preamble, and then if you want to introduce Mr. Sauer and Mr. Parker.
I'll introduce Mr. Sauer and Mr. Parker. So, and also Jared is also on the line. So what we'd like to talk to you tonight about, and I'm going to do a quick overview on it, is that what we've been putting together is information on how to activate the Boswick House. And so I'm trying to pull up a presentation. Mr. Parker, do you want to come up and I'll have your slides ready for you, if that makes sense? And then I'll get that.
John will say something.
Okay, yeah, but I just wanted to pull up the slides so we can, is that there? Okay. Okay. Mr. Sauer, I let him go first on some of the activation stuff. So we just want to talk
Perfect.
about the activation strategy and to have just to get the council started on that. Mr. Sauer, go ahead. Yeah.
Could you push the button, Mr. Sauer? There you go.
I'm going to introduce myself and then make two statements, and then sit down, trying to do that in 2 minutes. Okay. So I'm John Sauer. I am on the board of the Amen Trust, and in real life, I am a banker. I lend millions of dollars to SBA loans to small businesses. I've been working on Amen Trust on Bostwick for 10 years. Last year or two have been exciting. The first 8 years were frustrating. We couldn't find a use. We couldn't define. Thanks to you, Mayor, we got it focused on Event Center, and we've moved to expand beyond that. For the 4 years before getting involved with Bostwick, you may know I was very involved with the Battle of Bladensburg Monument. So I've been to Bladensburg a lot over the years. All right, that's the introduction. Point number one. For the first time that I've been involved, we have a package. We have a long-term plan and vision, and that's exciting to me. I think it's been distributed to you. It includes the use, the event center for the mansion, and wine facility, cafe, exhibit space for the stables. We have a preliminary budget. We have a potential management plan, maybe like Mango Cafe, where the town owns a facility, leases it to a private operator, but under the town's control. We have a team. We've lost one of our members, so we'll have to sort of regroup. It's been a pleasure to work with Michelle. Really going to miss her. So that's my first point, that we really have, for the first time, a plan together, a plan. Second point is, as I've been involved with this, I've sensed that some people in the county and the state are kind of fatigued about Bostwick House. They've been hearing about it and hearing about it for a long time. So I think now's the time to rally our troops and come out with our plan and gear into serious fundraising. This is an important inside the Beltway project for the county. We need significant county support and the state and other resources we're exploring. But that's my second point. So to summarize, as they say, I'm John Sauer. I'm a volunteer. I've been working here a long time. We finally have a long-term plan and vision together, and it's time to roll up our sleeves and get serious about fundraising. Thank you. Sam?
Mr. Sauer, really quick, one question for you on the fundraising piece. Do you think, based on the plan that you put forth, that it would be reasonable to try to go after some funding from the Navy, just given it was the home to the first Secretary of the Navy, given what the proposed plan is? Or would that be challenging, since we're not strictly preserving it as a historic house?
Excuse me, all of this is challenging, so I think that's a good idea. We need to figure out how to pursue it. The issues have been raised, and we're going to explore a lot of alternatives, but that's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I have to say, Michelle, thank you. We have come a long way in a short period of time, and I say we with an emphasis because it has been a really productive process to work under Michelle's leadership to move where we are. So a big thank you. So we're at a pivotal point. We have gotten, we are, as John said, we have gotten into planitis, and we want to move out of that. And the question now is, how do we move this to the next phase? And this short document I put together is building off of especially the ULI report that really recommends that we start from activating the space. And so one of the things that struck out in this is Bostwick must be used to save. It just can't sit up on that hill. And two, we need to activate the property, the land first. And that activation is really what I'm wanting to talk about. The first phase is to activate the grounds. And that takes doesn't take a lot of money, but it takes some resources to clean it up, to make it look presentable. And we're getting a report done to get some idea of what the stable would look like and what we need to do to make that an active space. But the phase one is coming up with activities so people know it's there. Not only the community, but the wider community. And the important thing that ULI said, you gain some momentum that will actually help you get to the money. And not just government money. We know that's a source. We always going to go after that. But we got to find another way to find some additional money out here. The second phase is to rehabilitate the stables and maybe some of the other outbuildings, get rid of the ones that we don't think are historically important. And just as a short little note, we had a meeting with the MHT staff that really, and to talk about what could be saved, what is the plan for historic preservation. And they were very open to understanding where Boswick fits in the big scheme. And not just, well, we just got to preserve this is because it's a historic property and you got to do this, got to do that. There are some things we have to do. But their presentation, our presentation to them and their comment back to us is, tell us what you want. Tell us where you want to go, and we will help you as much as possible get there. So it's not no, 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 no. And so the activation will help us leverage the use of the building. You spend money in the building to generate the kind of revenue that you may need and additional interest. And then the final phase is actually restoration, adaptive reuse of the house. So we have gotten a long start in making the house presentable, and the next piece of the grant, that next grant we have, will put some paint and refresh the main building. So it looks like it's an important historic site and it looks like it can be used, but it's too expensive at this point to go in and say we're going to rehab the interior for adaptive use. That's the last phase of the project. But the first phase, getting people here, doing different things, that's very important to get people to understand where we want to go and say, hey, this is important. And what we've done here is to give some idea of, you have to have matrix. How many activities are we trying to get to? How many people are you trying to serve? And for those who've been in business, you can open something. That doesn't mean people need to come, will actually come. So how do you get there? How do you know that you're being successful? What things do you have to do to make sure that people know that you're here and use and participate in what you want? So we've kind of put numbers together based on some reality of other kinds of projects, which gives us, again, benchmarks of what we're trying to achieve, how many people we're trying to get, and what are our financial benefits, and so forth. The next page talks about, I was here at the last meeting and I saw the list that you all have come up with. We need to do a lot more than that. It's good, but we got to go to another level. And this gives some idea of things that, just ideas. And I want to preface this. These are, none of this that we're talking about now are set in stone, but it does give us a pathway, and that's what we really need, a strategy of where do we move next. And so that there are things like a Family Olympics, Classic Film Festival, Storytelling Festival, a plein air painting composition. It's something where you come and bring people to paint outdoor scenes. It's like Monet, things that are different, but it's also calculated who is your market, who are you trying to serve, what will they come to, and to measure who they're going to come to and get names and email addresses and get it on social media, that kind of thing. On the stables, we have actually talked to and been to other wineries. Wineries is an idea. It's not the only use. But we're talking about wineries. We're having some conversation with a winemaker in Prince George's County, African-American winemaker, by the way, and they just got a grant from the Maryland Wine Association to do not just wine tasting, but experience around wine tasting, where they've gotten some money to help create experiences in Prince George's County. And we're having conversations with them about how do we bring something like that as an experience, not necessarily opening a winery right away, but an experience around wine. Those are just ideas that we think are doable and will bring people to the location. We understand that Bostwick has to be an economic generator. It's a historic property, but it's also a cultural tourism connected with ATHA. It's an educational thing connected with our school system. What's the story? It's not just the loudest family. It's not just the Secretary of the Navy. It's a whole story about Bostwick and also its relationship to Bladensburg over time, not just in the 1700s. It's a pride. People want to say, I live in Bladensburg. This is Bostwick. We got to think about all those things and build that into where we're going. Funding. To do what I'm talking about is going to take some money. And we think the town should be able to, and you're doing it in different ways. You know, Purnell spends time and his staff is doing this, that, and the other. That's money. You know, that's money. His time is money. But the town needs to have a consistent commitment for a longer term to move us along. We also talk about MHAA. We're going to go for a grant with MHAA this time around, or to fund and generate resources for experiences. And we all have to go in the bond program, the money you got from the state, the $500,000. We've got to be relentless in doing those kinds of things, and not just occasionally. We know that we're probably going to need easy $5 million, easy, probably more than that. And that's not a big number really in today's time, but you got to be focused and you got to have a strategy to move us along to be able to say, why is it worthwhile giving hundreds of thousands or $1 million to Bladensburg, to Bostwick? And all of this strategy creates that momentum, creates that specialness of it. There are risks. We're talking about creating an environment that we're asking people to come to over time, not just once or twice, over the years. But I think you all have a jewel, and it's how do you play it, and how do you look beyond just a historic site. So finally, we're sorry that she's leaving us. But it's important that we don't have a lag. Now, how we do that, I can't sit here and say, but in your thinking and in looking at your budget and who you hire and all that kind of stuff, if we lose a year, we're going to start back over again. And Eamon is committed, but a lot of it, that commitment is based upon the energy you all give us, the resources and the trust that we have as an organization working together. So, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Parker, for that presentation. And yes, you're right. It's taken a long time to get to this point. And I appreciate all those who came before me and worked on it. But there's a uniqueness in this moment and the momentum that's been created, and we can't afford a lag. And so spending down that bond bill is critical so we can come back to the table, to our delegation, and ask for more money in the next budget cycle, because we missed it for this one because of paperwork, not due to our own issues, but with the state just kind of being slow to get us there. So with the town administrator in her short time that she's with us, we're getting the receipts in, reimbursements, and all those kinds of things so that we can go back to the delegation and say, we spent the $500K on this and made these improvements. Now we need your support for more. And I think you're right on that funding source. We have to get more creative and figure out what private funding we can go after, because there's money out there. But just in this role, I always think about state, county, federal, but there's so much more that we're missing out on. And so we'd love that opportunity to talk more about that. But we really appreciate the commitment from Amen Trust to being a good partner. with the town on this and really seeing the potential in Bostwick. And I'm excited that we've come this far and look forward to the progress that we're going to make moving forward, even with someone moving off of the team and moving on to greener pastures. So again, thank you both so much for the presentation. Council, are there any questions for either Mr. Parker or Mr. Sauer at this time? All right, thank you. And to your point, in terms of keeping the momentum going, Michelle and I have talked about how we can help make sure Mr. Hawkins is on, and he's our economic development consultant, and he'll play a key role in making sure that we're keeping everything moving forward because, to your point, we will not let this go backwards and have another lag.
Yeah, we're running out of time, but Mr. Hawkins is
yeah.
on, and I just wanted to show everyone the image that we have from our, can you pull that up, Rick, just so that, just from the standpoint, it's on my screen. So this is one of the images of the activation of what it looks like at the stables. So you can see that that's what we're really trying to move towards, is having those events and having that wine person or the wine garden there. So I think that's kind of a really great image that we've been trying to show, and I just wanted to make sure that we share that with the public. And Mr. Hawkins is here, and he'll be taking on this project from me.
Thank you so much. Love the image. All right, so it is 6:43, and I know we have several more things to get to, Council, so I'll try to move us along a little faster. The first item is the approval and authorization for town administrator to purchase street signs, and so Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this really quick, Mayor and Council. So what I'd like to do is show you another image very quickly. And Mr. Purnell, Mr. Hall is here. Mr. Purnell, Mr. Hall is here. And like we're offering you 3 different options. One is just change the signs on top to beautiful blue signs. I know that's the one that you're not going to love because it's the cheapest and the quickest, which I love, cheap, quick, and dirty. But it's just the changing the signs, and that's about $7,000. The second one is I'm just going to show you the Cadillac because I figure then you guys can talk down from the Cadillac. Yeah, I got it open. Hold on one second. I'm gonna show it to them. I'm just gonna make it on mine. So here we go. I'm showing it on Zoom. I'm sharing it on Zoom, and here we go. Okay, it'll come up in 2 seconds, and I hope it'll come up from there. Okay, so the Cadillac one, which will be, and that's not, is a new black sign with these beautiful finial things on the side, and then the mounted stop signs. We're proposing is that this will be funded out of highway user versus trying to keep money in speed camera, Councilwoman, even though it could be used as a speed camera expense, trying to make sure that we're using highway user. This package costs over $76,000. What I would suggest is not framing the stop sign because that costs you $17,000 just to frame all the stop signs because we have 70 stop signs throughout the town. And currently they're just mounted on there, and without the mounting bracket, you save $17,000. But I would say, and Mr. Hall, please pitch in because he wanted me to make sure that I showed you, like what these really can look like. But this is the one that we would say new signs, new poles, and that would really give you a real nice visual look. And it's Mr. Hall. Let me let you take over from here.
Well, I know before, most of you all came to the table, we have looked at, this type of job task, this type of project throughout the town several years ago. And I thought that the vision that I was hearing back and forth was just not a plain, simple change of sign color or anything. It's the appearance of what we were trying to, move forward as time, time goes on. We can't just stay in, 19th century or whatever, every year things go up. And the beautification of the town is one of the things that we are really striving for moving forward is beautification. And signs like this, it will show residents what we're capable of doing or changing the style of our town, and I thought that this maybe would be a right approach for the mayor and council to look at and to review and maybe approve of what you all want. That's why we try to give y'all more than one option. We gave you 3 options.
So, yeah, so the simple one is just new blue signs with the town logo on them on top of poles. The second one would be a modified approach where you would have a black pole with the way that they currently cross. And then the third option would be this one with the finials where you have the look where it goes across. And it goes up about 15, it goes from $7,000 for just the signs to the $25,000 range for the, for a crossbar and a black new pole and a very simple sign of it, and then it goes up to, with the mounting and everything else of the stop signs, goes up to $75,000. So what I just wanted to do was to be able to present these. We've received all of the bids. We've done, we've gotten 3 or 4, we actually have gotten 4 vendors to respond. Econo Signs is the lowest responsible bidder. Shannon Baum in some ways is the second one, and Shannon is a local company. And what we're looking for is some direction, and then we can work with these vendors because we've got the quotes to move forward if council approves a certain look and design, because we have to make sure that we just, again, with the number of signs that we are, that's where we're going. And but I think it's a good look for the town to make this change at this time, especially with all the things we're doing with American Blue. And again, the highway user funds.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Hall and Town Administrator Bailey Hedgepeth for that overview. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Hall.
One other question is, the amount and everything, why is it so high? It's because of the amount of signs that we have in town. We have, what you get ready to look at is probably 71, 63, almost 130-something signs.
Yes. And the quotes show you you've got quite a few, and then on 70 poles, and then 70, so everything is times that 70 number, then times 2 when you have a crossing sign.
Yeah, thank you for that additional information.
Sorry, thank you to Mr. Ray Jeffries, because he was the one who gathered all the signs and has been working very much on this whole idea of the look and feel of the town's thing as well. So, thank you, Ray.
Yes, special thanks to Mr. Jeffries if he's watching. And so let me go back to the summary sheet. So what we're looking for, council, is a motion to approve the staff, or authorize staff to enter into the purchase of the stop sign or street signs and poles. And it looks as though, I think I lost my page here, but the one that we seem to have oohed and awed over the most was the Cadillac, if you will. And so, so Town Administrator, so you would need authorization for options E and F, correct?
That
From
is
the council?
correct. That is
Okay.
correct. And then what staff would do is kind of finalize that with those 2 vendors and make sure that we're doing that along the lines of where you want us to go. What we also believe is that this can be installed probably by May or June, correct? On a full implementation plan.
At least started?
At least
Because
started.
70 signs is a lot, so.
We'll get started, you
Yeah.
know, but completion date is kind of.
Yeah, it's up TBD. Let's say
We
TBD.
have to do it, and also our normal work schedule in the spring and everything. We have
Right.
to do all of it together.
Right.
But we can get it started, and once we start, we're gonna keep moving. It's not just lay off of it or anything.
Yeah.
So,
That's helpful.
it's challenging as a lot, you know, but we can get to it.
Perfect. So with that, council, is there a motion to authorize staff to proceed with or to authorize the town administrator to proceed with purchasing the street signs and poles through Signature Streetscapes for an amount of $75,000?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
You'll do in the council meeting, won't you? Is that what you're going to do, is during the council meeting itself, or
Oh,
did you have another
I'm
council?
sorry.
I was like, yeah, you don't
so
have to do it
sorry.
now. It's just more the fact that.
later to
I
me.
know,
I
it
feel
feels
like it's
later. I'm
after
like,
7.
it's
I
okay.
apologize.
It's okay, Mayor. I was like, guys, like Councilwoman Brown and I were like, okay,
Yes,
you don't have to do it
thank
right
you.
this minute. but-
Yeah,
And
sorry.
you can make those kind of wranglings on the thing, but
It's
yeah.
dark outside, and I honestly feel like it's 8 o'clock, like we're in the 7 o'clock. Yeah, so, Councilmember, do you mind withdrawing the motion?
Yes, I do.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Thank you. And then the other item, because it's already 6:51, was in reference to the data center, and just wanted to make sure because I saw this was on the agenda last month and there was no decision. But council, is everyone comfortable with proceeding with a letter to oppose the data center project that's been pegged for Landover Road, the former site of the Landover Mall? And looking at the information that Ms. McCutcheon has provided, but then also from other sources, there's a number of reasons why this just does not make sense. And given how much water those sites use, it doesn't even account for droughts and, the extreme weather. And there's no plan, it doesn't look like, to cite some sort of energy source for it. Typically, you would see a solar farm paired up with a data center or something else to help so that it mitigates the needs for electricity and doesn't drain the community where it's being put. And then the other thing is typically these are further away from urban centers and more rural locations. So there's a number of concerns with this. So it sounds like the council is okay with us proceeding to work with the town administrator to send in a letter of opposition. And then the other item here was with respect to what has been danced around a little bit tonight. For those who don't know, our awesome town administrator has accepted a new position in a neighboring jurisdiction. And what the council has decided is that we don't want to rush into a decision for our next administrator. And so we want to employ an interim administrator, someone who's seasoned and can come in, who knows the job. They're just adjusting to Bladensburg and helping us move things along while we take our time and do a more thorough search for an administrator. And so with that in mind, in the next meeting, the council will take a vote to authorize the town administrator to enter into an agreement with an employment search firm that can assist us, just as they did before when we found our awesome town administrator. And then the next item, town administrators, regarding resolution 08-2026, if you want to speak to that.
Sure, there are 3 resolutions on the agenda. 08 is the resolution in regard, do you mind, Mayor, if you just mind to just go through all of them? One is is to make some changes to our Mission Squared policy, which is our 457 plan. That will allow some more flexibility for members to be able to take loans and to do some other actions. We have to submit a resolution and get authority to do that, and then Mr. Tonelli will make a plan administration based on the council's objectives. But it allows people to do things. This is totally employee funded, so it's nothing that the council that the town puts into. So it gives them more flexibility, and so that's number one. Number 09 to 2026 is a resolution for the Maryland Heritage Grant, which is what Mr. Parker was talking about. It's a grant that we've already sent a letter of intent to, and it's in regards to Boswick House, and we'd like to apply for funding, and this resolution is the council's support for that application. And the third one is a resolution of support for the G3, Green Streets, Green Jobs, Green Towns, and we last year received funding for 57th Avenue Rain Garden. This year, we're going to be applying for the actual building of it. We've done the planning. We've received half the money. We're going to apply for the other half of the money, which is actually building out that intersection. It's at Emerson and 57th, right across from there. So it'll be a really nice rain garden on 2 of the 4 corners, and will make a big difference on that corner. And then I think those are the only ones that I have. And the other agreement is, with the Mercer Group. And then the last, that's it. That's all I've got.
And then the other items are budget ordinances, which we'll talk about in the 7 o'clock meeting.
Correct.
To authorize certain purchases.
Yes.
And then the council will also find items L, M, and N are information memos. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn tonight's work session? Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any comments or questions before we adjourn? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. 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 Any nays? The ayes have it. We're adjourned, and we'll see you back in 3 minutes. Thank you. The Town of Bladensburg Council meeting for Monday, February 9th, 2026, we're now called to order. At this time, we'll turn the meeting over to Councilmember Dixon for the opening prayer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Father, we thank you for your love. We thank you for your grace. We thank you for a beautiful day. Father God, we come before you today with gratitude and grace. We thank you for the opportunity to serve our community and to work together for the good of the people. Lord, we ask you for wisdom, clarity, and understanding, and unity as we conduct, oh God, tonight's meeting. Help us to make decisions that are fair, honest, and rooted in integrity. Lord, let our words be respectful to each other and our hearts be humble and our actions be guided by a purpose. We pray for our residents, our police officers, our staff, and we ask that you cover us under your wings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Dixon. For those who can stand, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you so much. At this time, council, the agenda calls for the approval. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Dixon. Any corrections or questions regarding the agenda? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The agenda is approved as presented. At this time, I'm pleased to turn the meeting over to Acting Chief Frischkorn for the swearing in of Officer Lowry.
Welcome Officer Andrew Lowry as the newest member to the Bladensburg Police Department. He was hired in November and just completed his comparative compliance training. So Officer Lowry, if you could come up. If command staff could also come up. And Mayor, I invite you to come down to do the oath.
Perfect timing. That's all right. All right, sir, if you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name.
I, Andrew Lowry,
Having been duly appointed
have been duly appointed
as a police officer,
as a police officer
effective November 17th,
effective November 17,
2025,
2025,
for the town of
for the
Bladensburg,
town of Bladensburg,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will bear
that I will bear
true allegiance
true allegiance
to the United States of America,
to the United States of America,
the state of
the
Maryland,
state of Maryland,
and the town of
and
Bladensburg,
the town of Bladensburg,
that I will support
that I will support
the charter and
the
laws
charters and laws
of Prince George's County
of Prince George's County
and the town of Bladensburg,
and the town of Bladensburg,
and that I will
and that I will
obey the orders of
obey the orders of
the governor and the officers appointed
the governor and the officers appointed
over me according to the rules
over me according to the rules
and regulations
and regulations
of the Bladensburg Police Department.
of the Bladensburg Police Department.
I will,
I will,
to the best of my skill,
to the best of my skill,
judgment, and ability,
judgment, and ability,
with diligence and faith,
with diligence and faith,
and without partiality
and without partiality
or prejudice,
or prejudice,
execute the office
execute the office
of police officer
of police officer
for the town of Bladensburg,
for
Maryland.
the town of Bladensburg, Maryland.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome. There you go. Right there. All right, Acting Chief.
All right, if one of you want to pin this on him. All right, if the officers want to come up real quick for a quick picture.
Officer Lowry, I was so used to seeing you in plain clothes that I didn't even realize it was you when you walked in. So happy to have you officially on the team, and if you need us, we're here for you. Thank you. All right. So council will continue on with tonight's agenda with the next presentation being from Ms. Renee Green from the Patriotic Committee.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Town Council, staff, and citizens. I'm Renee Green, the Patriotic Coordinator. As you've seen, the Explore Bladensburg Black History is going to be on Saturday, February the 21st from 2 to 4 at the Bladensburg Community Center. This is always such a great, successful event, and unfortunately this month I'm going to be missing it. Due to a film commitment that I have in Nashville. Looking for distributions for some of the films that I've been doing, so, but I will be thinking about you all too, so, and I hate to miss it. Then we have the 250th anniversary events that are going to be throughout this year, so stay tuned. For that, one of them, I hope, will be the documentary that I've been working on the Boswick House. So, that should be great. That's coming along really well. And the Memorial Day will be on Monday, May 25th, and we will have the ceremony at 11 o'clock, followed by a luncheon to be determined more details. So, thank you, and that is my report for this month.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms.
You're welcome.
Green. We really appreciate all your help with our patriotic events. And then speaking of the Memorial Day ceremony, do you have a speaker or need some help contacting someone?
That's a good question. I do need some help in getting some speakers. If anyone has some referrals that they could, let me know, would be really awesome.
I'll try to put you in touch with Dr. Dula from Prince George's County. I'm not sure if he has changed positions with the new administration, but he was over Veterans Affairs.
Okay.
He's a very good speaker and a veteran himself, and I think he would be really good for the program. So I'll try to connect you.
Oh, thank you. I'd
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Very
Councilmember,
good.
did you have a comment?
Yeah, we do have some too.
Sorry, we couldn't hear it in the
Oh,
microphone.
sorry. I was saying that we have some veterans in our police department too we could utilize. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great point.
we definitely could, and I know that we've used some of them in the past, and we can, certainly, they gave some great speeches, we can use them again.
And we can check the fire department as well.
You know
And
what,
just-
that's one place that I have not checked.
Okay. We will start emailing you some names to reach out to.
All right, I appreciate that, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. Green.
All right.
And council, that completes all of our presentations for tonight. Next is the approval of meeting minutes for the January 12th council meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember
Yeah,
Blunt.
I'm just not moving too good.
I understand. Any comments or questions for the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, any nays? The ayes have it, the minutes are approved. Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is public comment. So Town Administrator Bailey Hedgepeth, I'll turn it over to you.
Susan McCutcheon.
Hi, Susan McCutcheon, and I'm so shy I haven't said anything up here before, but I live on Spring Road. The first thing I want to say is give kudos to at least my block on Spring Road. There was great snow removal, and I know such a tough job. I was speaking with Purnell before. It's such a tough job, and then everybody, of course, wants everything plowed out, but it's really hard to get to everything, and even some of the people doing the plowing can't get out of their own place very well. But everybody on Spring Road, at least my section, one had ideas about this as we're trying to beat the ice down and do different things, and somebody had an implement with suggestions, and then suggested the next one, and the next one lent something, and the other person, and then I was helping the person across the street, and they were helping me, and it's just really great to see everybody. It wasn't a big deal. It's like, oh yeah, I'll help you do that. I'll help you do that, and it was really good. And considering too that on the street it's generally older people. There are not a lot of young people, but in fact those who didn't do too much of anything were the younger people. So sorry about that, but had to say it. It just was the thing. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for supporting the opposition to the Landover data center, and a letter, and if I could get a copy, that would be great. Just to mention that on this Saturday, New Carrollton, they have a community meeting on certain Saturdays, like out monthly or something, but they're going to discuss data centers. It's not a whole panel, but they're going to be discussing it. So just so you know, their usual, I guess, this community meeting they're having. I know I've contacted interim, I'm not saying the wrong word, Fishcorn, about this, but I have a concern about, I'm not trying to go into conspiracy theory, but surveillance. And that's one thing with data centers. It's a lot of surveillance of people for different purposes. Cameras and things are, flock, which I don't know much about, but flock and ring, and different things where they're looking at taking the pictures of license plates and things like that, and then weaving it into different things, including immigration, picking up people, tracking people. So I think anything that I would hope that the council, when there's like a new system and surveillance and things that are really good, yes, for policing, but keeping in mind what else can be done with it and who's tapping into it. I don't know that we can avoid it in the modern technology, but it is something to consider. But as I said, I don't know what flock exactly is, but I was looking at the surveillance issues. And I do have a concern about using cameras more than for safety, which is a good thing, but to count on as a money source, which is kind of but because what they really should be getting is like slow down, and not counting on it as a money source. And unfortunately, that's what happens. I mean, you can see why. At least I can see why it would. But other than that, thank you very much. I'm just in time. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But I appreciate everything the town does. You can't be perfect. Who's perfect? But you're awfully good.
Thank you so much, Ms. McCutcheon. We appreciate your comments and all the information that you shared, including the upcoming meeting about data centers on Saturday. At this time, that concludes public comments for tonight. And we will jump right into our meaty agenda, beginning with financial business, because we just love hearing from Mr. Tonelli. So we will turn it over to you regarding the audit update and the budget update.
I'll keep these brief since we discussed them at the work session. First off, the audit, I was hoping to have a draft for you this evening. We'll have one this month. We just lost time in the last month and a half with the holidays and folks being out sick, including myself, and trying to get it completed. So we're down on the very last part right now, which is the ARPA testing. And we didn't have a whole lot of ARPA expenditures, and we're just trying to finalize that right now. But we will have the auditor present at the March meeting. And we did get approval from the state for an extension, and they were fine with it. It said, I mean, just you told them, we're a small organization, and but I do want to talk about the budget process for FY27. We've started internally, as I said during the work session. Michelle and I met with Acting Chief Frischkorn to go to the public safety budget. We met with Purnell to go to the public works budget. We're doing line by line. It's our first run through it with them. Just kind of like, here we are now. Where do you see us going in the next 15 months, 18 months? It's our first try at it right now. What we haven't done is with the mayor and council. So I don't know if you want to try to get something on the scheduled soon this month, just to talk about it. Short one, it probably wouldn't take more than a 90-minute work session. I would think probably an hour. But as I said during the work session, we're going to find out this week, at the end of this week, our real property assessments and where they have gone since last year, meaning that they are going to increase. We just don't know how much yet. And we always find out on February 14th, or right on that day, or the day before if it's on holiday, which I think the 14th is on a Saturday. You said, right? Okay, yeah. So we'll find out on Friday the 13th. So feeling good about it. So don't worry about the superstitions. It's going to be a good thing. So. And what I touched on, I said I'm going to keep this brief, but I still want to touch on this. The business personal property tax assessments have increased 25% over the last few years. So that is a positive trend. I just don't know if that's going to continue. Income tax, I think it's going to trend higher. We will get, next month, we will get something from the state that we could get applied to get roundabout figures, what I'm trying to say. Yeah, estimates, gosh. I can't think of that right now. I know, it's dark out, it's late, I mean, it feels like it's, so. But I don't foresee those changing much, even with the improving economy and income tax revenues going up, because there is going to be extension of the SALT deductions. So that's going to take away the income tax earnings, I believe. So we want to come back with a full budget at the March meeting to start discussing, and we'll have everything for you then. But I would like to ask the council if they want to do a work session, just talk about your budget, because it is your budget. I hate to just put everything down on paper and say, here, this is your budget, without you all discussing it. So it's, if you want to do that.
Yes, I was kind of polling people, and Councilmember McBride, if you want to let us know if you're in agreement. I was just asking the council if they'd be open to a February budget meeting to discuss the mayor and council budget and any other items that we need to prepare for the process, which will really kick off in May, or at least it'll increase. So it sounds like yes is the consensus. So if you want to have Jessica just poll us so we can figure out a date.
We will do that, council. Yep.
And then Mr. Tonelli, so you and the town administrator were there for State of the Municipality, where the woman from National League of City talked about the study that they did on municipalities nationwide, and how the general consensus from most CFOs or treasurers is like just concern that the economy is not going to hold. And this wave that we kind of rode out of COVID and the drop off from the federal funding diminishing, plus tariffs, and other economic factors really is going to start hitting us in the coming fiscal year. I know you go to GFAO and other meetings. Is that
That's the same
tracking with what-
thing that I've heard. They said all the indicators point to we should be slowing down. And it's going against all the known indicators right now that it keeps going up. And the S&P just broke a record. I mean, it's, of everything that you hear about people's concerns, interest rates are still high, the housing market's booming, nothing's coming down, and everything is still going up, So it's going against all the, variables that should say, this should not be happening right now. And now I think Trump appointed a new Fed chair. So that's going to, so there's going to be pressure to push the rates down. So that's going to even, I think that's even going to push the economy up. But at a certain point, you got this housing bubble, you got this and that, you have this huge stock market. There's got to be a correction somewhere, So it's, and everybody keeps saying that and it hasn't been, so.
Yeah, I think it's like he says tomato, I say tomato, 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 potato, potato. So we agree to disagree on some of it, but I think that I will say that it surprised me that this last year has been as good as it is, because I think I started last year, and I think that's the reason why you see some of the budget stuff that you guys are in now, so that I think you're actually well prepared, because we made some cuts last year, and we've kind of looked at ourselves really hard, more than other people might have. I mean, I'm talking to managers who are saying they gave people 5 and 6% last year, and I'm like, oh, I was the Grinch. So I think that we might not be as in bad of a shape as we thought that we would be this year, and I think you have some ways to be positive, but I also think that we need to probably have cautious optimism, but I'm sure that will be my person that follows me will help, but I'll help to guide it in the first part, and then someone else may disagree and say, oh, Michelle was being too conservative, but I still think that we need to be a little bit more conservative on this, but it's, that's Vito. I think Vito is very conservative too on his estimate.
I am,
He's very
and I've talked
conservative.
to other people in other municipalities and counties about it, and said, everything's fine, it's,
Until it isn't.
Yeah, I know. It's and I guess they may have more of a cushion to absorb it,
Yeah.
So with us, it's, it's, yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
Especially after the deficit last year.
Right.
And, so that's all.
okay, that is helpful. Thank you. So we'll look forward to our budget meeting sometime this month with the council and staff. So those two items complete the financial business matters for tonight. Now we're on to new business, beginning with Budget Ordinance 13-2026. Town Administrator, I will turn it over to you, but before doing so, because it's dealing with snow removal, I hope that the residents watching tonight will email or call to express your gratitude to Public Works, because they did an incredible job dealing with not just snow, but ice on top of the snow across town. Thank you, guys. That Sunday, not throwing anyone under the bus, but while certain places were not plowing, our guys were running 18 hours that Sunday. And being from Michigan, that is, I know from experience, that is what you have to do. You
That's what
don't
you have to
wait
do.
until things stop. When it starts, that's
got
when
it.
you start, because you can't afford to let it build up. And Mr. Hall, I have to say, because you got ahead of the storm, by Monday, really Sunday was good, but Monday, after the dust settled, we were astronomically better than many places across this area. And if that wasn't enough, you have a team of 6 guys, and people assume that we're bigger because of your efforts. They always think, oh, that town of Bladensburg Public Works, let's call them, they can help us. And so we got numerous calls to the police department, to myself from our schools, asking for help, because the county school system, which has a budget that is significantly higher than ours, was not able to get their sidewalks plowed so kids could have safe passage to school, and they were reaching out for help. And then the director of public safety reached out because the bus drivers needed help because they needed a place to park their vehicles so they could get to the buses in the lot in the industrial park. I mean, we were getting hit from so many different sides. And I know you can't say yes to every request, but for the things that you were able to do, you guys punched way above your weight, and we are so, so grateful for everything that you and the guys did. And we'll have to figure out an appropriate way to thank you, but please know something is coming because you all did an incredible job. Thank you again.
I relate to excuse me. Thank you, Mayor and Council. You know, I relate to the guys, and as everyone knows, I've been here 19 years. This storm right here was probably one of the most challenging storms that I've dealt with since I've been in here. I'm not talking about the blizzard in 2010 or 16. That didn't have anything to do with it. That was snow. But when you're dealing with ice, that soon as it fall or hit anything, it's frozen. That was a big thing. There was challenges. You know, we don't have certain equipment to do other job tasks. We have equipment to do, you know, maintain our job tasks. But unfortunately, Friday, right before lunch, they had went to lunch in the sidewalks at the high school. I've been thinking about it ever since Thursday. You know, what can I do? I just don't have the equipment. Okay, and it's not manually digging or anything, you know. So God just blessed us with skid steer came in at United Rental, and I seen it come in with tracks, what I needed. So when the guys got back from lunch, we headed up there to do the sidewalk. I was supposed to be off. I couldn't be off. My son's birthday was Thursday, Friday. Thursday we had to clean State Highway, Annapolis Road. Friday we was on the sidewalks, you know. So with that being said, my job comes before anything really, you know. And I've dedicated myself, you know, to the town of Bladensburg for certain situations like this. I'm not asking nobody else to come out here. I'm coming out here with them as well, you know. So that it was hard, guys. We strolled a little bit, you know. We was tired. They was belly aching. We all was. We was tired, you know. You know, and like I say, my home right now, my driveway is not cleaned off. My sidewalk's not cleaned off. I just don't have the time, and I'm tired, you know. So it is what it is. And I want to thank the guys on TV right now and police department for helping us, you know, in State Highway in a very impactful road, heavily trafficked, you know. We're just not capable of doing it by ourselves. So thank you all, and Code as well.
So Town Administrator, with that preamble, just had to thank Public Works and Public Safety because given the road conditions, Acting Chief, I know it required manpower on your side, helping to direct traffic safely. We had kids walking in the street in certain places because sidewalks weren't clear. And I'm just grateful that there were no pedestrian accidents thanks to the work of the department. So appreciate your help and that of code enforcement.
Thank you, Acting Chief, too. So I'll just start off with this item. I just wanted to say about Purnell and about the Public Works guys that they're amazing. I came to the office at 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning, and even my little electric space was emptied off for me. I was like, I didn't expect to charge, and they did that. I have a little tear every time I came into the office. Guys, like I could even charge today, and that's above and beyond because when I drove through to get here, I knew that our streets were going to be clear, and I didn't have the same from looking at the rate from everything else I mean, it was amazing to just come through Bladensburg and to see how clean it was to get in here. So that's just an amazing thing. So thank you guys. So this piece of legislation, which is I'm talking about Ordinance 13-2026. This is an ordinance and authorization for the town administrator to purchase snow removal equipment from using highway user funds. Proceeds not to exceed $127,201. We're actually looking to purchase two pieces of equipment today. One is a Kubota R640, R43. I had a lot of time to kind of look at these, and Mr. Tonelli is going to show you this on the screen while I talk about them. The second piece of equipment is a Kubota SLC 1000. We're recommending that we purchase these from both from Ripon Equipment. The Kubota R640, if that's what you'd like to see, is a beast. It is a snow moving and also a debris moving machine that will help us to, one, kind of be able to be much more tactile in these kinds of events. But it's not just for snow. It's for brush and for other things, and also helps us in other situations when we have to take care of them. And it will help us from not having to rent it. The other one is this is the skid steer, or is that another way to call it? You can ride on the back of it. Will help us with smaller loads on sidewalks and have the utility. And I will let Mr. Hall kind of explain it to you more. I'm girl-splaining it. I'll let him mansplain it. So, Mr. Hall, do you want to talk more about this? This is beautiful equipment for us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, Town Administrator, Ms. Hedgepath. She hit it on the head. I mean, you know, what we're looking at right now is something for all our sidewalks, not just for the town right here in Bladen. I mean, not just for, the town facilities, but we have a little bit more sidewalks just, not right here at our facilities. We have one in between Newton and Quincy. Then we also have one on 58th Avenue. And a lot of these places, we just do because they don't have the time to do it. And a snow blower is for something around here. But when you start having 1,000 linear feet of sidewalk, you got to have the proper equipment to do the job. And that machine right there, what you're seeing, is a bad rascal, It is just, it's not, I mean, some of the snow blowing is good for smaller areas, but when you're dealing, like I say, with linear feet, you have to have the appropriate equipment to use, and that's a part of it, not right there. But the big one right here is for like a lot of our intersections and stuff. We have to pile them up and move them. This guy right here, it can load up to 10 feet, okay? And the little machines that we have don't go no more than about like 7 feet. And plus, when I get all my salt, I get like 60 to 70 tons of salt. I have no way to push it back. And I have to push it back underneath the shed so the water don't get on it. I have to go to United Rentals, sometimes try to rent it, but when you're in the snow season, January, February, everything is gone. Okay? So I have another partner that helped us out with a front end loader that I use on Annapolis Road, but I can't always guarantee that this stuff is going to be there. So it's been for years that I was able to do something like that, but us as a town, we have to have our own equipment to do the right job. And for mayor and council, I mean, any equipment that we don't ask for a lot of equipment or anything. Anything that we ask for is multi-use. And these quotes was done before this big storm even occurred. So it's not just for the storm, oh, we need this, we need that. These was thought about before the storm.
So, Mayor and
Any
Council,
questions?
if there's any questions for Mr. Purnell or myself, we can do that, or we can answer, and we can answer them now.
Yeah, I can answer.
Council, any questions for the staff? Councilmember Blunt?
Just from going to MML, that was a question on while you was attending a meeting. Would you ever share that equipment to another, like
No.
Portstown?
No, ma'am.
I'm just,
No, ma'am.
yeah, that was a question
Because,
though.
what I'm getting to is, when you start doing stuff like this, you're becoming a big problem with who's gonna pay for the maintenance, who's gonna pay for when it got damaged. Oh, we didn't do it. Certain things you can, but certain things you can't.
It was just like a shared cost. I was just asking. Okay. So when I go to MML and take that class again, I'm like, nah, we won't do it. Okay.
Any other questions for the staff? Okay, one more, and then we'll call the vote on the
Okay. Yeah,
ordinance.
thank you, Mayor. I just want to know about maintenance. So, do those pieces of equipment have maintenance plans?
That would be extra, That would be a whole lot extra for a maintenance plan. And certain things like this, they have warranties, factory warranties. Now, a maintenance plan, it can range from various maintenance job tasks, So I wouldn't do that, and the people that we deal with, Ripon is also a state contractor, government contractor as well. They are about 45 minutes away, so they can work on this equipment themselves.
And we're
For
not running,
us as
are we running the kind of hours that most people would run on these? Because in some ways, our hours may be less than other people's.
Yes,
So we haven't, I just want to mention that. Yeah, so let you talk about that.
Yeah, hours would be, this is not something that we just come in and get in every day to use or nothing like this. Our maintenance or hours will be way less than any contractor that's buying it to, use on a day-to-day basis.
But it does have a warranty.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, ma'am. It's brand new. It's not used.
All right, and any other questions before we have the reading of the budget ordinance?
Yes, ma'am.
How soon can we get that?
I don't want to say it. It'll be in Wednesday.
Thank you. Because there's supposed to be another storm this month, so,
It'll be in Wednesday.
yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
I just have to write a check, that's the problem,
Give the man
right?
the thumbs up so he can have it ready. and we'll bring
Perfect.
both of them down here twice.
Excellent. Right. Why make two trips when he can just make one?
$500 a delivery.
Yeah,
So we
we
get
can
both
save
of them
that.
at once.
There you go. All right, so Town Administrator, do you want to read the
As
ordinance
soon
for
as
us?
you approve, I'll show you.
Hello, Mayor and Council. So this is ordinance number 13, 2026, for fiscal year FY26 budget amendment, approval and authorization for the town administrator to purchase a snow removal, to purchase snow removal equipment from highway user funds and a proceeds not to exceed $127,201 from Ripon Equipment. This is an emergency ordinance to amend the operating budget. Whereas the town administrator can make recommendations to the mayor and council to amend the FY26 budget and reallocate funds for the fiscal year, and as whereas the Bladensburg has determined that it is in the best interest to pass a budget ordinance on this day, February 9th, 2026. At the town council meeting, we hereby enact the following: increase expenses to $127,201 for expenses associated with the roadway equipment using the highway user fee and funds. Hereby pass this, I'm trying to get to the last page, pass this list this 9th day of February 2026.
Thank you, Town Administrator. With that, council, is there a motion to approve Budget Ordinance 13-2026?
That's a move.
Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. Any comments or questions regarding the ordinance? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The ordinance is approved, and I can't wait to see the staff driving both of the caboodles. Next,
Thank you very much, Mayor.
absolutely. Next is Budget Ordinance 14-2026. I'll turn it over to the Town Administrator.
Hi, Mayor and Council. This is Hi, Mayor and Council. This is a budget ordinance in regards to the SFY 26 Beacon Grant. This is a grant aptly called Gloves Up, Guns Down. Did I get that right? That's the title of it. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting this partnership with the Salvation Army. The council has I familiarized the council with this at the last meeting. This is the budget ordinance that actually transfer those funds into this fiscal year because the funds pretty much will be spent during fiscal year 26 and part of 27. We have to finish it up by, I believe, October of 26. So this is the ordinance for that, and if there's any questions, I can answer them.
And
So Acting Chief Fishcorn is here to answer them too.
Yes.
Sorry.
Pardon
Acting
me, Chief.
sorry.
Any additional information you want to provide the council with?
No, other than I met with John O'Connor and went over the various grants, including this one, and how we're going to implement it. And we also reached out to a couple other agencies that were interested in possibly assisting us with it. This is a unique thing that it's first of a kind, so a lot of people will be looking at this to see how well it works out. So we've already started on some of that.
That's great to hear. So with that, Madam Town Administrator, would you please read the budget ordinance or abbreviated version thereof?
Sure, no worries. This is ordinance 14-2026, a fiscal year budget amendment for the SFY 26 Beacon Grant. Adjustment to fund $78,360 to support a community-based youth boxing and mentoring program. This emergency ordinance will amend the operating budget for fiscal year 2026. Whereas the town administrator of Bladensburg has made a recommendation to the mayor and council to amend FY26 budget and reallocate these funds, whereas the mayor and council have determined that this is in the best interest of the town to pass a budget amendment. This will now therefore be ordained that an increase in revenue and grant funds of $78,360 for the SFY Beacon grant for expenses related to a boxing and community mentoring program, and then increase the police department expenses by $78,360 for expenses associated with activities in a collaborative community-based youth boxing and mentoring program. Total budget impact, $78,360. Now, therefore, it be ordained today, February 9th, 2026.
Thank you. Council, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-2026?
So,
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
I second, Mary.
Seconded by Councilmember Dixon. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
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 Any nays? The ayes have it. The ordinance passes unanimously. And Town Administrator, one more.
Sure.
We may need some water.
No, I'm
Budget
okay.
ordinance
I'll-
15-2026.
Yes, this is ordinance 15-2026 for a fiscal year budget amendment for an emergency purchase of repairs to the rooftop heating and air conditioning at the annex, which is right across the street, an amount not to exceed $35,000. So, Mayor and Council, we mentioned this emergency purchase to you, I believe, in passing in December, that we thought that this may be an issue. Mr. Hall has been very good about getting this, working on it and getting the air handler or air exchange. If I get that right, Mr. Hall, please bust in and just tell me if I'm getting this wrong again. But this is for us to be able to replace that rooftop unit. I believe it's the original from back when it might have been a 7-Eleven. I would think that it's not new. Is it? Would that be true, Mr.
No,
Hall?
that,
Is that a little?
Flynn
I'm
got
like,
that.
it seems like it's old and old.
Yeah, it's
2011,
2011 or something
2011.
like that when Flynn got it, but,
Okay. No, go ahead. I'm gonna stop. You got it.
no, I mean, when we first put it out, the AC company that, do our maintenance and everything, thought that they may be able to do it, okay? So when something felt kind of sketchy to me, I don't go with it. So they're not able to do it, and they don't even have sheet metal shop that can do the return or anything. Once you take a rooftop unit off, you have to have a return on it for it to set down on. And that being an old building, the new unit, the 4-ton unit, rooftop unit, will not fit directly on that. So I have to reach out to a company that has their own sheet metal shop or fabrication shop that can do a return and also be able to set a 4-ton unit on there. So that's why I want to revisit it, because when we spend so much money like this, it has to be done right. It's not just, well, we can put a heat exchanger in there for $10,000 when the whole unit gonna cost you $13,000 to $14,000. Now, as far as me being the lead, town representative on that, I didn't think that was feasible for the town to go that route. So we gonna relook into it, and plus a lot of people may be scared to right now due to the weather and all that. Nobody's going. I mean, even if they bid on it, they go, oh, we can't do it until April or when it warm up and stuff like that. So I think it was the best route to put it out there again and let more bigger company, that can handle the job task.
So we did put it out for bid, Mayor and Council, and we're waiting for the bids to come back. It's just that we wanted to have the emergency approval just in case something happened, because we're just, we're crossing our fingers to make sure that nothing happens. So we will bring, if there is a bid that comes back, I mean, if this happens and we're able to get the bids, we'll bring it as normal bid. But what this is just on an emergency ordinance, just to be able to fund it in case that the worst case scenario happens, because it's cold and we've got lots of things that happen. So that's what we wanted to make sure we had it. So that's what this item is.
And the reality is it could go out at any time, and knowing that there's supposed to be another snowstorm coming, Purnell's knocking on wood, that's as I was reading through this, that was my concern, that
Yeah,
this could go out very soon. So I'd rather if the council agrees, we go ahead, pass
Yeah.
the emergency ordinance, and that way you have the authority to move quickly. So, Town Administrator, do you want to read the emergency ordinance for us?
015-2026, a fiscal year budget amendment for the purchase of and repair of rooftop heating and air conditioning unit that not to exceed $35,000. An emergency ordinance to amend the operating budget for Bladensburg FY '26. Whereas the town administrator has made a recommendation to the town council for the FY '26 budget to reallocate funds for this year. The mayor and council of Bladensburg have determined that at today's meeting, February 9th, that this budget ordinance will be passed. Now therefore be it ordained that under contingency, that $35,000 for the use of funds for rooftop heating and air conditioning for the PD annex, and that from building repairs and improvement as the expense line item for $35,000. What we're really saying here is that we will have this come out of contingency, and then at the end of the year, then we will reallocate it to a different line item depending on where the budget is. Correct, Mr. Tonelli? Because that's why we did it out of contingency, because repairs to the building are contingency items for the most part. So they fall out of our contingency because we have used our building maintenance line item for other repairs throughout the year. We have about a $50,000 a year building maintenance line item that we actually use pretty aggressively to make, to do preventative maintenance. And we do a lot of like upkeep stuff with the buildings over the last few years. So, I mean, small things that you can see that we do to try to keep these buildings going, and Mr. Hall and his team does a great job at that. I'm sorry for the editorial, and that's it. Now be it ordained this February 9th, 2026.
Thank you so much for reading the emergency budget ordinance. Council, is there a motion to approve budget ordinance 15-2026?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions before calling the vote? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. 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 Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you all so much for your support. So we look forward to hearing more at the next meeting. Hopefully you get some good proposals in there and the work can be done pretty quickly. So next on the list, Town Administrator, is Resolution 08-2026, authorizing the Town Administrator to handle the contract execution and revision with Mission Square. So I'll turn it over to you.
I'm actually going to share this one with Mr. Tonelli as well, and Acting Chief Fishcorn, because it was brought to our attention by the police department. I'm trying to give everybody props. Don't make me like do everything like, oh, myself today. Mission Squared actually met with some of the members of our police department over the last few years to try to go through their retirement plans. And when we looked at some of the options that the town has, they're a little bit more limited than what other local entities have. And I won't mention other entities' names, but there's one it starts with a T and it has a P in it. They have better stuff. So everybody kind of tells me they've got the best, so I try to do that. So this will allow us to add these features to our plan. And so the resolution is, again, the mechanism in which we have to pass that in order to move forward. So I can read the basics of the resolution so that you have that, and then, but I can answer any questions first, Mayor and Council.
I know we talked about it during the work session already, but Council, were there any comments or questions regarding the Resolution 09-2026? I'm sorry, 08-2026. And again, it doesn't cost the town anything. This is employee, at the employee expense to have this plan, so. Councilmember Brown?
Yeah, and Mrs. Bailey Hedgepeth, for clarification, so it just allows the employees to have additional options for services,
Yes, so.
kind of speak.
Button off.
It's off.
Okay, so The proposed amendments would allow age 60 to 63 catch-up provisions, which like I say, I'm getting closer to this one. I'd probably love to have that. In-service distribution at age 59 and a half. Qualified federal declared emergency distribution. So like if there is a federal emergency, you can be able to take money. Emergency expense withdrawals, which again, it's people's own money. They can be able to access a little bit more readily for those. Self-certification of emergency expense withdrawals. Instead of having to meet thresholds, the person can say, I'm having an emergency. And they can kind of they have to say a little bit more than that, but they can take the money a little bit easier. Self-certified hardship withdrawals, and then penalty-free.
And then penalty-free, yeah.
Withdrawals for
Penalty-free
certain
withdrawals,
domestic
that's
abuse,
good.
yeah. And I think the other thing is that the ability to take loans and be able to pay them back when they do those withdrawals versus it being a straight withdrawal. So those are all of the options that we're adding to our plan, which gives our employees more of an incentive to put money into a 457 and be able to take it out. I've had a 457 with Mission Squared since 2001. At every single town I've been involved in, I've always picked up that program. So it's very good for employees to kind of have their own savings, and it's a great way to augment your future pensions.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, council, is there a motion to, Town Administrator, I guess you should read the resolution first before we vote on it.
Sure, so
Uh-oh, you turned it off again.
did I just do that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did I do that? Okay. So this is a resolution of the, a resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Bladensburg authorizing the town administrator to execute contracts and revisions with Mission Squared Retirement and to amend the town's 457 deferred compensation plan and providing enhanced distribution options for plan participants. Whereas the town of Bladensburg offers a 457B deferred compensation plan administered by Mission Squares as a voluntary employee-funded supplemental retirement benefit for all employees. This is, again, entirely voluntary. We'll be making, as I mentioned before, the proposed amendments that would allow participants to access additional distributions and options, including not limited to aged 60 to 63 catch-up options, in-service distribution at age 59 and a half, qualified federally declared emergency distributions, emergency expense withdrawals up to $1,000, employee self-certification for those hardships, self-certification for other hardship withdrawals, penalty-free withdrawals, and qualified birth and adoption distributions, and other distributions permitted under law, whereas these plans are an enhancement to our overall retirement plan. We're going to resolve today that the town administrator is hereby directed and authorized to enter into and execute a revision to the related documents with Mission Squared, and that the town administrator will further be authorized to take any administrative actions necessary to implement these changes or amendment provided by, as they're consistent with federal and state law, and that this amendment shall not alter the nature of the 457 plan, nor shall it require additional employee contributions by the town, and that this resolution will take effect directly upon adoption. It's going to be resolved today, February 9th, 2026, and shall take effect immediately.
Thank you, Madam Town Administrator. With that, council, is there a motion to approve Resolution 08-2026?
That's a move.
Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
Did he sign it?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions before calling the vote? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much for your support on that, council. The next item is Resolution 09-2026. I'll turn it back over to you, Town Administrator. And just one more
I'm not
after
gonna
this,
touch it,
just
yeah.
one more.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch I was about to touch the button again.
Feel
so-
free to do the abbreviated version.
Yeah, again,
for
this
these.
is a resolution of the mayor and town council supporting the FY27 Maryland Heritage Area Program for the Boswick House outdoor activation and site planning. And so again, we mentioned this in the last meeting, but what we're going to be doing is applying for funding for approximately $25,000 with a match of $25,000 because they make you do a half and half match. It goes up to 100, but we just did $25,000 because I'm not sure of how much the activation is going to be in our planning. So this is a resolution. If you'd like me to read it, I can answer any other questions you may have, and I can start reading the resolution.
If you want to read the abbreviated version.
Great. A resolution for the mayor and council for the town of Bladensburg supporting the application for the FY27 Maryland Heritage Program for the Boswick House. Again, this is the fact that the town of Bladensburg seeks to apply for FY27 MAHP Outdoor Activation and Site Planning Grant for the activation, and that this will, proposed project will help the economic development of this and develop a site plan for the Boswick House, including outdoor activities, strategies, and introduce the public through heritage-based program and special events. This also is supported by the Amen Trust, and they're going to be acting as a partner. An intent to apply was submitted on February 2nd, and that there's 3 things that we're going to be authorizing. The mayor and council will support and endorse the application. The town administrator will be authorized and directed to submit a grant application, and the mayor and council will affirm the intent that that there's a required $25,000 matching contribution. That's all being resolved today, the 9th day of February, 2026.
Thank you, Madam Town Administrator. With that, council, is there a motion to approve Resolution 09-2026?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilmember Dixon. Any comments or questions regarding the resolution? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. And last but not least, we're down to the last one, the G3 Grant Program, Resolution 10-2026. So I'll turn it over to you, I almost said Councilman. Town Administrator.
Town
Bailey
Administrator,
Hedgefoot.
great. Mayor, council, this is Resolution 10-2026, support for the town of Bladensburg application for the Green Streets, Green Jobs, Green Towns, or the G3 Grant Program. This grant is going to be directed at 57th Avenue, but let me to do the summary of the resolution. It'll resolve again that the submission of the G3 grant to achieve the green infrastructure projects, i.e. the 57th and Emerson's, the rain garden. The town administrator will be authorized to work collectively with and collaboratively with EcoSite and Low Impact Development. Both of them are going to be our grant sponsors and help us write this grant. And then we also, upon the award, the town is committed to implementing the proposed projects and program and follow with the program guidelines and requirements to ensure transparency and accountability. That's being resolved this 9th day of February 2026.
Perfect. Thank you, Council. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 10-2026?
I so moved.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions for staff before we call the vote? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The resolution passed, and we are through all the ordinances and resolutions for tonight. Thank you so much, Town Administrator, for reading all those. Next, on the next item, we discussed the LEOPS retirement program, and the majority of the council did comment that we are not comfortable proceeding with it at this time. The program obviously is beneficial to the officers, but our concern is the sustainability of funding that. And we just need to have more conversations with acting chief and your leadership, as well as other department heads, on a path forward to get there. Because saying that it's going to be covered by speed camera revenues is not sustainable. The whole goal, as Councilmember Brown said, is to get people to stop speeding. So if we're doing our jobs, that revenue is not going to grow and grow and grow. It's going to taper off at some point. And so it just requires a real conversation amongst all of us to figure out, is that something that we can do in the future? And again, looking at the data from other municipalities, there's 155 municipalities across the state. I'm not counting the special taxing districts. And so to only have 25 municipalities who have LEOPS, that is telling. And looking at their budgets and seeing an $18 million police department budget or $30 million, when our entire town budget is $11 to $12 million, it puts it in real terms that we have to think about. And the reality is, a yes today could potentially be a tax increase for the residents. And we're not prepared to go down that road and make that commitment just yet. So look forward to more conversations there. But as Councilmember Blunt said, it's a great program. Yes, we want to do it, but we just want to be careful that we're making a decision that when we're no longer at the dais and in 10 years or 15 years, you have other council members and a different mayor here, that they can feel good about the decision that's made. So we just have to be transparent about that. So at this time, there's no action on it and no vote at this time. Moving on to item H, the authorization for the town administrator to enter into an agreement with Mercer Group, as was mentioned in the work session at 5:30. Our town administrator is leaving us to move on to bigger and better things, and she's so happy. The stress is already lifting off her shoulders. But we employed a search firm when we went through this process and got an amazing candidate in Michelle. And so it's our goal to go back to a professional firm that can help us do a nationwide search and get the top candidate possible, not just who has the right skill set, but who has the right personality fit for working with the town and the department head and the community. So we don't want to be rushed into that. And so working with Mr. David Deutsch is the will of the council. And as stated in our charter, when it comes to professional agreements, the council can go ahead and determine that we want to secure the professional services, just like a lawyer or others, experts. And so that is the direction the council wants to move in. And so with that in mind, council, is there a motion to approve the town administrator entering into the agreement with the Mercer Group for support with our town administrator search?
I so moved.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Councilmember Dixon. Any comments or questions from the council?
I just have one question, Mayor.
Sure.
So once we get into this agreement and we find someone, right? If we found someone and okay to come to work for the town and then they withdrew, do we have to pay another money to do another search?
It's a great question. In the agreement, if the person leaves within the first year, then they will do another search for us. So it's insurance. If we pick someone, hire them, onboard them, they leave in 3 months, Mercer Group will enter into the same process, and we do not pay for that. Okay. And the other thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're repeat customers of Mercer Group, and I thought I read we get a reduction on the fee to 17,000, or did I misunderstand?
It was
Or
24, and then he brought it down to 20.
Okay.
Yes,
So
and-
I just want to note, they did give us.
He did give you a discount.
Something for being a repeat
Yeah.
customer, so
And
that
then
does help.
the other thing, Councilwoman, is that if the person is an ICMA member, you are supposed to stay with the town for at least 2 years. So as far as part of our code of ethics, is that most managers will stay, that's our minimum time that we will stay with the town is 2 years. So that's part of our ethics code of ethics, is that unless there is some kind of extenuating circumstance and they're pushing you out the door, you're supposed to stay for 2 years. So that's why they do the 1 year at least, because that's part of the code of ethics, is that they need to stay probably 2 years to at least get to know the town and to do that. So you'll get a manager that will stay at least 2 years in most cases.
Councilmember Brown?
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you. And so that's with them assisting us with the interim, because we're going to have an interim, because if we just talk about that a little bit, we're going to have an interim town administrator, and then they're going to continue to help us look for the permanent one.
Yep,
Right.
yep, thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah,
We did
thanks.
discuss in the work session, the will of the council is not to be just under tremendous pressure and have to rush into a new town administrator. So the Mercer Group will also help us hire an interim town administrator who's a professional, someone who's experienced and can come in and keep the wheels moving, keep the work flowing with our department heads and with the council while we go through the search. So we don't have to settle for the first person who accepts by going down this path. We can have a professional who's doing the work day to day while we also work with Mr. Deutsch from Mercer Group to find the right fit, the right candidate for the community. So with that, any other comments before we call the vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. And next is a series of information memos from the data center, which was discussed in the work session. I don't think we need to recap that or rehash that. On item K, there was the rules of procedure.
You
Did I miss?
skipped I, which is the
Oh,
signs.
sorry, the street signs. How could I forget the pretty street signs? Oh, my gosh. Yes, thank you. So with that, Town Administrator, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. Here. Here you go. You can have mine. Okay, so so that's the three. So we are asking the council to make a decision in regards to street signs today. We have put together a couple of, I'm going to put back up the image. Give me 2 seconds, Rick, and I'll get this up for you. Hold on. Share. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, thank you. That's it. That's like, okay. It should be up now. Okay, so what we would like to do is, this is the, we provided 3 options. The option 1 was just basically changing the signs from green to blue with the town logo on them. That has a cost of about $7,500. The second one is some kind of a moderate approach where we would continue to have our street signs that are right on top of the thing, but maybe change the poles, which has a moderate increase about from $25,000 to $30,000. We have several. We got 8 different quotes, so I'm not going to go through all the nuances of each quote. And then the last one is this upgraded version, which we're looking at here, where you have the finial street signs with a new black pole, a topper, and the creme de la creme, the frame for the stop sign. Now, I am suggesting going without this frame for the stop sign, because the frame for the stop sign costs you an extra $17,000 to frame 70 stop signs. I don't think it's necessary, but if you would like it, it does. You can see what it looks like and how it stands out and how your stop sign stands out. But in most of our cases, when we have some of the, but the LED stop signs, Mr. Hall, would be on separate poles, correct? The ones that we have the LED lights for, those are not on the same pole, correct? Those are different poles.
No, I mean, wait a minute, what you mean?
The ones that we have, remember the ones that we bought that are LED stop signs? They're in separate poles. They're not on. They wouldn't be on these poles, are they?
Well.
Some of them are.
Well, I mean, it depends on where you put these poles. These poles are basically gonna be in the inside of the area, right?
Correct.
And where our LED lights are, it's like on 57.
On 57th, yeah.
So most of these poles right here will go in the inside.
Interior, yeah, the interior streets. But they would also be on your edges of your, so the visual look of this is as you enter Bladensburg, you'll know you're in Bladensburg now. You won't have green signs that you're in the county. People, basically, once you do this, when we did this in Capitol Heights, we're like, what color is your sign? Because we used to do in North Las Vegas, what color is your sign? Is it green or is it blue? And we'd be like, North Las Vegas, you're in blue. You're not in green, that's county. Stop calling me. So anyways, that's sort of but you know that you now are in Bladensburg when you come here, because you'll have these beautiful blue signs and you'll know that your residents will know when they're in. And then it'll help you with annexation, because people will want your new signs. So that's the long and short of it. Mr. Hall, do you want to talk a little bit more about the signs, or do we need to not wax on poetic?
No, you did a great job.
Thank you, sir.
And I know we covered it quite a bit in the work session, and the council seemed to be in agreement on the options from Signature Street Cape for the Cadillac version, as you see here. And again, it goes into the economic development and just the placemaking, so you know you're in town. And the thing that I'm thinking about is this is an investment that will be here for years. We're not going to have to replace these for however many years. And so if you're making the investment, do something that's going to enhance the town and also tie into the America in Bloom metrics that we're trying to meet to maintain that certification. So again, staff, just want to make sure we're clear. So you're recommending, if this is the way we want to go, we would need to authorize the proposal from Signature Streetscapes for an amount up to $75,000.
What we're recommending is that you go with the one for 67,833.99, which does not include, and I believe that's eco signs. I think that's the one, Mr.
Econo signs?
Econo signs, yeah. Econo signs.
Okay.
But
And that
what-
total is 61.
Yeah, and so where we would love to know is just like to, one, get the overall approval for the look and the feel of them, and what not to exceed, let's say not to exceed $67,000. And then what we can do is, because we're still just going through and doing little tweaks to this, that we would get an approval for that with the lowest and most responsive and responsible bidder. Because we have a couple of them that we are still working through, and if Shannon Baum, who's a local vendor, can meet or exceed this, meet this rate, we will go with Shannon Baum.
Okay, for the exact same look.
Yeah, this is one of the people that sends you all the catalogs all the time, and they're the cheapest one right now, and from all the signs. But there are 3 local bidders that have been sending us bids as well.
All right,
So we just need authorization for
Council, is there a motion to authorize staff to proceed with purchasing the new street signs and poles in an amount not to exceed $67,000, again, using the lowest and most responsive bidder?
I so moved.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Seconded by Councilmember Dixon. Any further comments or questions?
I just want to say them poles are.
Your mic isn't on. Go ahead, Councilmember.
Those poles are nice. I like them. They're beautiful. I can just see the beautification.
Excellent, thank you. With that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you all so much. And so dropping back down for the item item letter K for rules of procedure regarding virtual attendance and consent agenda. And this is under the council rules. Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Again, this is me, Michelle. So we have the last, so this is one of the last ones that we're working on today, is underneath the rules of procedure. So there are a couple of things that staff is suggesting. One, that we look at virtual attendance and provide a way to actually put virtual attendance into the rules of procedure. And the other portion is the consent agenda. The use of the consent agenda will help us that if you discuss something, let's say in a previous session, like in your study session, and you say, this works for us, then we would do one motion and you would approve several items in one agenda item. Let's say routine things like resolutions of support, things that are pretty, and they are marked as read. So the town clerk, moving forward, does not have to read every single one of those resolutions into the agenda, as long as you have it placed and posted on the consent agenda. A lot of municipalities do this, and it helps them to streamline the council meeting and provide basically a much more efficient organization of it, because you would have discussed it in the study session, and then when the council meeting comes, your first item would be the consent agenda, and you would have like 4 or 5 items that you would approve, and all by one vote in the consent agenda. So those are the 2 items, and then there's anything else that you may want to make changes, but those are the 2 items that staff is suggesting to the rules of procedure.
Thank you, Town Administrator. Any comments or questions regarding those 2 updates or any other items noted? I'll just jump in. So I agree with going down this road of having the consent agenda from the standpoint that we have one day a month that we meet, and there's so much that we need to cover. And it feels like we don't have enough time to really talk about certain things that require meatier discussion. So legislative priorities, for example, it always gets rushed into 10 or 15 minutes, and we really don't have time to dig into it. And if there are certain things that we can consolidate on the agenda so that we could have more discussion time, I think it would help us so we can actually have the space to deliberate, pull on staff ideas versus having to rush through everything because we have however many pages of things that we're rushing through. So that was the stance there. And then with respect to the virtual attendance, I think that just as a courtesy to residents, if we are going to say that you can vote being virtual, because there are extenuating circumstances, and I get that, but as a practice, we need to be visible on camera. We need residents to know that we're paying attention. I'm not at Giant grocery shopping while on a meeting such as this. I'm present, even if I can't be here physically, I'm here and tuned in. Again, I know, especially talking about myself, traveling for work, if I'm in a remote area and the connection is not good, then I may have to say, I can't get on, or to your point, just don't join and ask for an excused absence. But I want residents to know that we're still committed to doing our jobs, whether we're physically here or not. You may have a family emergency and have to go to California, but you still want to join. It shouldn't be that you can't vote on something because you're joining virtually. So I just would ask for that as a best practice, that wherever possible, that you're on camera and visible. Because one of our neighboring municipalities had a council member who was notorious for being out of the chambers and on the calls, on his phone, never on camera, and doing other things, sometimes unmuted while doing other things. And I just feel like that's embarrassing for the residents to see their representative is not taking the job seriously that they were voted to do. So with that, any comments or questions from the council? Councilmember Blunt.
The consent agenda, can you kind of explain it a little bit more to me? I'm sorry.
Sure. So usually consent agenda items are called, and actually what will happen when the town clerk reads it, these items are considered routine and ordinary, routine items that would be, so an example would be, let's say, resolutions of support would be, let's say, a contract that you know that you're going to approve every year. So if it's something that you've approved for every single year the same amount, those would be put on the consent agenda. I think there's a couple of items. I mean, I would say every meeting, you probably have 3 or 4 items that probably could be consent agenda items, things that you've routinely done and that we just want to make sure that we're getting approval for, especially contracts, because what we used to do is that there was a lot of signing of contracts that we're not necessarily authorized by we're authorized by a department head and not necessarily the town, and we would, because they constantly renewed. So what we can now do is, if we have a consent agenda, is list out all those contracts on a yearly basis, because we usually do it as that it's part of the budget and they're part of the process, but every time they renew, now they could go onto the consent agenda, they would be part of your agenda, the public would see it in a more clear way, and then they would be, in that meeting, they would be approved in one motion. So that's really what it's for routine and ordinary items, but it also increases the transparency of these items, because a lot of times there'll be, because let's say, an example is Motorola. We have a big Motorola contract every year. You guys don't see it every year because it's always it's part of the budget. But if you had the consent agenda, you'd see every year that I sign it, because it's already put in the budget, but it would be a routine and ordinary, and it would be part of your consent agenda. And you'd know that this is time for the renewal. You'd see it, it's there, everybody sees all the stuff. I think it improves your transparency to the public, whereas those items don't usually come before you because they've always been built into the budget. And so that helps that. Does that help, Councilwoman?
Yeah, but if you have any discussion, you still can discuss.
Oh, you can pull an item right off of it. You can say, yeah, we used to do it too, where people would say, you know what, this year we want to talk about this because we don't want to renew this again. And you can pull it off the consent agenda, put it on the regular agenda, and it's off. So that's the other part, which thank you for asking that, because people do that on consent agendas. They pull it off and they say, we want to have a discussion about this. We're pulling it off the consent.
And then just one other. Sorry. Looking at section 2.4, special meetings, it says, special meetings are called by the town clerk upon written request of the mayor or 2 or more of the council members. Any such notice shall state the subject to be considered in the special meeting, and no other subject shall be considered except by unanimous consent of all members present. But the charter also has language in here under work sessions, which I think we should add here, which is when necessary, the mayor and council may enter into special session during a work session, just going in and clarifying when it's appropriate to have a special session and having that language. And that's in the charter on page 5, under meeting section C. And then on section 2.6, I was thinking, just again, for clarity, just being consistent, saying under closed session, it can be called by the mayor or 2 council members, just so it doesn't say one thing in one section and then something different rules for a different meeting, just to show the consistency there. So that was, those were the only other items that I noticed when I went back through the rules. So any comments or questions about that? Your mic is on.
Okay, so when there's a special meeting, let's say that I ask you as the mayor, and I just have one council member to agree, it would not be a special meeting? That's two. So, got you, you're right, I apologize, yeah, you're right.
And the reason for that is I can't just be petty and say, I want to have a meeting just for the sake of having a meeting and wasting people's time. Having that agreement shows there's something important enough that we need to bring before the rest of the body to discuss. Otherwise, if one person could call a meeting, that could be happening potentially every other day, and we just don't want that practice. So that's why I was suggesting we just make it consistent in both areas, so it's spelled out and it's not leaving anything up to interpretation. Yeah. So. Make it plain and clear. Yep. Councilmember Brown.
I would like to look at it instead of, and hopefully because what was before us was the virtual and the consent agenda. And so anything else, I would, just like to take a look at it, not at this time, but with the virtual thing, the virtual piece, I think that's fine, other people's practices and, and what they do by not being on camera or whatever, because, but however, I do, with the virtual piece, I have just one question under the emergency circumstances, and where number A, where it says remote attendance by one or more members is permitted and may be required by the mayor in lieu of in-person attendance. Because in lieu of is instead of. So just, can I get a little bit more of clarity on that right there?
I think in lieu of means, instead of,
Yeah, in lieu of, it means instead of, but it says, so the remote attendance by one or more members is permitted and may be required by the mayor.
So thinking about situation we had with COVID,
Mm-hmm.
where we couldn't physically come together because we were under stay-at-home order, so we needed to join virtually.
Or if let's say
so-
there's a pipe burst at the town hall.
And we can't meet
And you
here.
can't meet here, and the mayor declares it's declared that the building is shut down, and then you're asked, and, so those are like real emergency situations where you can't use the particular building where everybody would come in, or things like that, or you wouldn't have it. So that's sort of these were all like COVID / building burns down. We have to have it someplace else. I mean, those are just in case, to keep operations, continuity of operations.
Okay, and then.
You had another question too, and I just wanted to clarify. So we've had these on the agenda since November or December, and talking about what other changes, because these rules haven't been updated in some time, so I don't want to make it seem like we just looked at them for the first time. I want to say it was at least December of last year where we brought this up, and we asked the council to please review them, because 5 sets of eyes are better than 1 or 2, to help us determine what other areas need to be cleaned up. So we don't have to vote on it tonight. If people need another month, that's totally fine. But it's just, we really need to update our rules.
We didn't say what area to research either. We just say look through the charter.
Councilwoman, yeah.
You said that we'll look through the charter to see if there's any changes being done. And I know it was some questions about should the public know what we're changing prior to we making changes? I mean, clearly.
Different, sorry.
Okay, so my thing is, I mean, I would look through it and see it. Like, I don't know the charter by heart, just like I don't know the Bible by heart. But if we're gonna pick a certain area to go on or chime on, I think we would need more time and say, hey, look, this is what area that I want you to look at, because this is what I want to talk about. Then the person will have more chances to see what area that everybody's working on. Because we can't take a whole chart and say, okay, we went through it, and at the, I call it 9th hour, like tonight, because we didn't talk about it in work session, to say we changed it. I know we sent it in red, but then we adding. I'm just saying, we're not going to vote on it tonight anyway, so.
Right, and just to be clear, it's not, we're not, because we're referring to charter changes, that's not what we're doing. That's a much bigger conversation.
Okay.
So the council rules is just how we govern ourselves.
Gotcha.
And so that's what we were looking at tonight. And again, we don't have to vote on it tonight. The council rules can be modified at any time. They haven't been done in a while. I know not since I've been on the council, since 2017, and it might actually be the same version when you were on there before.
This is December 9th, 2019.
2019.
This
Okay,
last
so
adopted.
that was the last,
maybe I need
no,
to look
that's
at
when
that.
we signed.
That's the last approved date on here, on this one. So
Okay.
you have, so I think that the mayor and
So
council.
we don't have to do it tonight. That can be tabled, and we can come back to it.
Well, you don't want to table it because you had to pull it off the table, but there, I think it's an informational memo, isn't it?
It is an informational
So that
memo,
it's not
but
being brought to you for action. So I guess the direction I need from the council is make these changes, red line it again, right? Or make a red line and then send you a final version so that you can do an approval, like, so you can have side by side, or do you want anything?
Well,
it
that's the
sounds like
kind of,
people want more time to actually read
To
them.
go through it,
Yeah,
yeah.
go through it.
Yeah.
So I think that
fine.
from that standpoint, if we can just come back to it at the March meeting, because there's no rush. I mean, right now, if someone needs to be remote, like Councilmember McBride, we're
Right.
proceeding under this, so there's really no rush
Yeah.
that it has to be done tonight, so.
Oh, I was going to say, is that, do you want that to be do you want an action item in March, or do you not want an action item in March?
I would say, based on what I heard, it sounds like folks would have had time to review it in March.
That's what I was saying.
We send you changes in advance, so when we get
they
the
will have a month to go
packet,
through it.
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
marked up with recommendations from the council.
and I think the other concern is that this is like for informational only, but then it's like we've already discussed it and agreed to it and said, okay, let's move forward with it. And so I just, maybe, that language there, just concerns me. For
mean the
informational purposes,
information
no
only?
action is required by the council.
So the only reason why we do, and maybe that's something that you need to probably talk about with your next town administrator. The informational memos are really to provide background to the council so that you can make comments so that when we bring back a final action item,
Oh, that's
it's
what
ready
it's
for you to bring as a
interpreted.
final
That's what
action
it's
item. So
meaning.
that's
Yeah,
why I'm
okay.
asking, would you like in March for it to be a council action item where you would do an adoption so that you have an opportunity to talk about it, and that the informational item provides you the background and everything, it's on the public square. So that's the reason why that's why that's why I'm setting it up like that, so that you can have it, it's out there, and then it's out for the public for several months so that you can see it. And then the council action items are when you do make that action, and you can choose to take action that night or to table it or move it forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that clarify?
Okay,
or-
yeah.
Okay. Any follow-up questions before we move on? Okay, so it sounds like we will get you edits in time for the next council packet to go out, so the council can come back and make a determination at the March meeting. And then the last information item, similar to what we said before, I know you provided language in here about the charter, but and the council will review that, and at this time is not interested in making it an action item formally, so we'll proceed on from there. And then with Boswick House, we did have those updates in the previous meeting, so I don't think we need to revisit those for the sake of time. We encourage residents to watch the work session if you would like to see that presentation. And now we are into staff reports, and so we'll jump back to finances, because we just cannot hear enough about the town budget. Mr. Tonelli.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It all depends on how much you want to talk about finance tonight, so.
Wait, I gotta time you.
Actually, I'm going to, actually, I'm sorry. Okay. My report's online. I submitted to the mayor and council today. I put the handouts on your, on the council dais. Just to talk, real quick, summary-wise, I'm just going to go ahead and share this. It's just easier to point and shoot. One second. I'm losing the crowd. Okay, so, okay.
Vito, you can press pause.
All right.
I'm sorry, there was a whole question
It's all good.
about
It's all
the
good.
agenda for the work session. I apologize. We're good, we're good.
Turn your mic on.
Balance will be, real estate taxes, most of them have come in. Difference in filing times. When approval for things if they have delinquent tax returns or have not filed. 4 years of assessments all of a sudden come in for one business because they have to keep their charter in good standing. Income tax is performing over a third greater than last year as well at this point. Again, that's all signs pointing to an improving economy, or again, it could be different filing times. So, state and county funding, our consultant has, we've received over 136, woo, over 100. I'm excited about the police grants. No, but we've received over $136,000 of new police grants this year, and that's helped offset direct overtime costs and also for equipment purchases. The highway user funds are slow to come in, but they always are. They drag them until almost September of the next fiscal year before we finally receive those funds. The parking violations, the fines and fees have been increasing due to great collection efforts. Automated traffic enforcement, we've received over almost $900,000 of funds already through January, and we still have more in the pipeline as a vendor collects on those citations. As far as the expenses, everything is within budget. The compensation costs are slightly over on a couple of them because of the increase in health insurance and also the pension expense that was more than I anticipated. But the operating expenses have been trending under, so overall, we're doing well, and we have funding that we need to carry us over the finish line to the end of June, but we are doing better than last year. And that's it for a summary. And as I said during the budget update, we're going to have, I hope I have the draft of the audit. I'm hoping maybe this week. But we will have the real estate assessments for next year this week as well. And I'll update the mayor and council with that as soon as they come in.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tonelli. Any questions regarding the treasurer report? All right, next we will move to Mr. Hall with Public Works updates.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My report's been kind of a little brief this month of January. It was not a lot of activity outside due to the cold weather, but everything is on my in my report right here. And once again, I just want to thank the guys for hard work that they was doing through the ice storm, last week, and plus we trying to get all the equipment back ready, for any upcoming storms that's supposed to be having something this Sunday or whatever. But as you know, they can push through anything, and that should be the end of my report.
Thank you. Really, you could have just said, my report is snow and ice, and that's it. We would have understood. But
Right, yes, ma'am.
again, we appreciate everything that your team has done to help us get through this winter storm, Fern. Next, we will come to Acting Chief Frischkorn for the Police Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. On my report, it's supposed to be a comparison year-to-date and also from December, and it's supposed to be December 25 to January 26. So I had 26 in there by mistake. But notable violent crime's down 100%, and we're dealing with small numbers in the town. So if you have 1 at one point and 0 the next time it's down. We had 6 incidents in December of violent crime and none in January. Our property crimes is down 57% year-to-date. Our calls for service were up between December and January, but they're down 19% for the year. Notable trends, we're still seeing theft from autos. So I still remind residents to, if they see someone doing something suspicious around a vehicle, call the police department. We can come out and check it out. Make sure you don't leave valuables in your cars, lock your cars. We've done a lot of recent initiatives that's in my report. Coming up, we had Coffee with a Cop, which was scheduled for the 10th, but it's been changed. It's going to be on the 12th at 7-Eleven on Kenilworth Avenue, so we invite residents to come out and participate in Coffee with a Cop. We're doing some other events in February. On the 26th, we're meeting with the Bladensburg Elementary School and doing an African-American read-in for this month. We did it last year. The kids enjoy the officers coming out and reading books to them at the school. I want our officers to focus more on DUIs. We haven't had any for a while. We actually did have one the other day, so we're going to be doing some training on that, some refresher courses for the officers so that we can bring up the DUI enforcement. Personnel updates, you saw that we just swore in an officer tonight, Officer Lowry. Actually, tonight's his first night on the road. We had a dispatcher that resigned, so we're actively recruiting for a dispatcher. Staff has been doing some training on computer security basics that we sent out to all staff. And 2 new vehicles that were approved by council have been ordered, so we should be getting those in the next couple of months. Some notable incidents, Detective Webb charged a juvenile with an incident in which a handgun was fired inside an apartment, and that ended up leading to the arrest of the juvenile. And then there was a package theft where some residents were having packages stolen on a routine basis, so they set up a package and someone stole it, and we caught the 2 people that stole it. So we also they set up a package with some bricks or something in it, and these people stole it, and we caught them. And it was use of their Ring cameras that provided information. We actually had one the other day of a guy who stole someone's Ring camera, but as he stole it, he was on the camera, and as he was walking with it, it was still recording. So we ended up catching him also. We charged him as well. So that's all I have for my report, and I do have the report for code to share that Sean Reinhardt sent to me. If you're ready for that.
Yes, please.
So for code, during the month of January, they issued 7 48-hour notices, 5 trash violations, and 47 snow and ice violations. Businesses and residents are required to move snow and ice from sidewalks 24 hours after the snow and freeze happens. And we're supposed to be getting another snow event coming up this weekend, so keep that in mind. And we understand the temperatures didn't rise above freezing for several days after the snow, but we need the sidewalks clean for pedestrian safety. We don't want anybody to walk in the streets and get injured. And it's our understanding that some senior residents may need assistance with snow removal. If they reach out to the town or reach out to code, then we'll do what we can to provide assistance to them. And that's all there is for code.
And Acting Chief Frischkorn, one of the things that I saw on Nextdoor where some people were saying, hey, if you need help, I need to make a few bucks, I can come out. But I was not comfortable reaching out to them to say, hey, if I pay you, can you do this for our residents? Only because people can pretend to be, anything online. And I don't want to expose our seniors to someone who could be a scammer or, anything like that. So I know before, you see lots of kids coming out to shovel and make a little money, and we just don't see it that way. So I know there's thoughts about what we can do. So I just want the residents to know we are thinking about how we can have a program to get some volunteers to be able to assist residents in the future.
Exactly, and I think it'll involve, the police doing a background check, and the chief has talked about, acting chief has talked about, maybe getting the cadets involved and things like that, so.
Yeah, I reached out to see if maybe the Explorers would want to volunteer and help with that. I think that would be good.
Yes.
Yeah, we could give community
And so we'd like to
service.
put both, we'd like to be able to put the fact that if you are looking to get hours, that you can then, that we can have a way to track those. So when you'll get something from all of us, I just want everybody to be able to sit down, look at a policy, have a policy, be able to, that you can sign up for help and you can get help, if that makes sense.
Can they get a stipend?
We could do something, I think.
I said stipend, I ain't say paycheck, just a little
Right,
something.
just a little gratitude. I'm
And
not
we'll put
against
together
it.
those numbers. We can
Yeah.
put together numbers for you for it.
More than hot cocoa, yes. And Acting Chief, I don't want this to get buried in the headlines, but one of the things I was impressed with is to see the reduction in violent crimes, and that is significant. So I want to commend the men and women of the police department for their efforts in that, because that's a huge number. And even seeing, the reductions in property crimes and things like that. So I know we still have some work to do with some metrics, but I think we need to celebrate where we've had some successes. And then the last thing is I want to thank you and the team for showing up for the funeral services for Officer Terry Bennett a couple of weeks ago. For those who saw on the news, he was struck by a vehicle while assisting with an accident. And unfortunately, he passed away on January 6th. What most people don't know is we have a personal connection to his story because his daughter-in-law, who's my daughter's age, they've been best friends since they were little kids, and her other best friend was in need of a kidney. So Officer Bennett actually saved Maya's life because she was probably not going to make it to the end of her senior year in college. His family, his wife in particular, through her sister, found out about my daughter's other friend and decided that she wanted to donate one of his kidneys to save Maya's life, who went to Elizabeth Seton when my daughter was there. So just a random set of circumstances, and he helped other people with kidney and or organ donations. And so as remarkable as he was in life, even with his passing, he was still a blessing to many people. And so it was already a tough moment going into that service. And so it meant a lot seeing you and the other leadership there, and then also with you being part of that honor guard. So just wanted to thank you for that. So at this time, we've gotten through police department and code enforcement. So town administrator, it is over to you. Short timer.
I'm just going to keep it short, like I always do. On this one, I've got a written report for you, and I also included a copy of the COG report, which is something that we go to every month. And then there's an extra, there's a presentation that they gave at our last meeting. So I just try to make sure that we keep on going with those to COG, and that staff is involved, because we're good members of COG. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Short and to the point. All right, mayor and council reports, starting with Councilmember Brown.
I'd like to say good evening again to the residents, staff, council members. I just want to, once again, just thank our Public Works Department for just an amazing job that you all did, and the town staff as well. But when you all were out there, as we talked about it earlier, on those streets, and the difference this time is that this was more of an ice storm. It's turned into, an ice storm and the Arctic blast on top of that, because the temperatures just were daunting. They wouldn't let up. So, and then of course, on Newton Street, over there on that side of Newton Street, and we had a water main break. The Braden Woods condominiums, right, and the other one on 57th, I think it was, yeah. And the fact that you guys did come through the street, put down salt and everything. I mean, that right there just makes all the difference. All the difference in the world. So, and then also that pedestrian footbridge again, where the children go to Bladensburg Elementary School. The bridge was clear, but the path was not.
Yeah.
So the path was not. So we thank you all for coming out there before they opened school up in Prince George's County and plowed that path. But that was just one of the small things, because you all work throughout the town, doing such a great job. So I just want to say thank you all again for your great and your hard work and efforts.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Dixon, you're up next.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to our residents. I want to thank the staff for the hard work that they're doing. Thank you to the Public Works Department for the hard work that you have done during the snowstorm. We appreciate you. And the Police Department, thank you as well. I attended the PGCMA meeting, also COG meeting. One thing I like about the COG meeting, they were focusing on critical public health issues that is actually facing our region, including preparing for changes in Medicare eligibility enrollment, preparing for potential increase in uninsured rate that is about to expire, meaning that a lot of people may lose Medicaid coverage. Some resident may no longer qualify due to the new eligibility rules, and if Affordable Care subsidized expire, more people may not be able to afford health care, which means that people would have to pay out of pocket. If you're sick, you would have to go to the emergency room, and then you would have to pay out of pocket. Then we'll have more people overcrowded in the hospital, rather. They also spoke on the opioid crisis. And there's one point in the meeting that was really gravitated to, was that the highlighted youth program that helps deal with addiction, drug misuse, substance use disorder for young people. My next meeting was the CBC. I'm coming. And the CRF, where the discussion was on the U.S. interest in Greenland. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you for that report, Councilmember Dixon. Next, we'll go to Councilmember McBride for Ward 2.
Councilmember McBride does not have a report this time.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Councilmember Blunt, we'll go to you next.
I'm dittoing what Councilman McBride was saying. I really don't have a report, but I know we've been saying thank you all day to the wonderful work you all have been doing, but I must say, Acting Chief, the officers, I mean, I focus, I don't, they're in a different space, and I like it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. When they come up to the building, their hearts are so warm for those seniors. Sometimes I wish it could be a little cold, especially because those seniors get away with so much and they know it. But again, the officers, okay. I love the officers and what they're doing at this point. So I can't even say what I want to say.
Thank you so much. And I'll wrap up. I do have a written report, And just want to note a couple of things. I was traveling for work the last month, so I did a combined December and January report. The December portion does include some notes from the State of the Municipalities that was done by MML. And just as we're thinking about the budget process, thought it was interesting to include some of that. If you go to the MML site, you'll be able to find a report that they commissioned with the University of Maryland to really talk about the impact of service delivery of municipalities. Municipalities do a lot. And out of the amount that we do, when it comes to things like sales tax, the sales tax code has not been updated in decades. And we're driving a lot of that because of what happens within municipalities, but we get very little of that. That's that's really our main legislative priority, is to have a restructuring so that municipalities can get more of that funding. And so we'll see how that goes throughout the year. But in looking at December and January, there were so many things happening. I wanted to also include the presentation on city fiscal conditions. So again, as we're talking budgets, these are things, just resources that we can reference when we're talking about numbers and how we're planning appropriately for our communities. I also included the PGCMA legislative priorities because we did have that reception back in December with our legislators, and just want to make sure the council has all the priorities that we're advocating for. And then we talked about this in the work session, but doing letters of support on the land use and zoning legislation, which is HB 0239. Again, that testimony is due tomorrow. And then also providing a letter of support on the Maryland Beverage Container Recycling Fund. And again, we're a community that is on a major waterway with the Anacostia, and so this definitely supports our vision for sustainability and reducing pollution. So the rest of the report can be found online. With that, I will stop and call for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I so moved.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second? Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilmember Dixon. Any comments or questions before adjourning? Hearing none, okay. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. We're adjourned. Good night, everybody, and thanks for joining.
All right, thanks.
Good night.